Happy Monday. Welcome back to Retake the Week. And yeah, finally, another happy Monday. Truly happy Monday. The chaos of Stage 1, Stage 2, even some Stage 3 stuff led to some grumpy faces, but the playoffs went exactly as we kind of wanted them to. Not necessarily in terms of every single matchup. We could have seen certain results go different ways, but the key takeaway from this major, the thing we wanted, the thing we asked for, is for a satisfying conclusion to the season with Vitality crowned as champions. Of course, as you well know, we got exactly that. Now, we do have a lot to discuss in terms of the whole playoff bracket. Going to be retaking everything that happened. We are also going to be talking about some other smaller, behind-the-scenes, lower-tier sort of events, because there has been a little bit of play going on surrounding the major. And, of course, the beginnings of the summer roster mania. They have been, starting. There's not been a full-fledged torrent of moves, but there's been a few. It's a trickle. It's a light trickle. Certainly some players removed and some rumours worth talking about. And, of course, prospects of the week. Before we get into any of that, we do have to thank the members who get access to a bunch of bonus content. They get access to a lot of VODs. They get access to the right to vote. And, of course, quite importantly, they support the channel. So thank you so much to the members. Without your support, this channel wouldn't be as cool as it is. And, honestly, this podcast wouldn't be as available as it is. Quite importantly, funding the Spotify and Apple Music uploads. So we appreciate the members a lot around here. Anyway, let's get back into it with the real CS talk. Quack, do you have anything to promo, or are we getting directly into this?
No, we're going. Actually, have I done something special? No, I haven't really had anything. It's been major, and it's been just covering the major. I haven't had time to work on anything special. Go like my Twitter account.
Some of his tweets are sus, but yeah.
It was midsummer. Did you see the midsummer fit?
I did. It was outrageous. Absolutely outrageous.
No, you've gotta look. I was there, and like these people, the people I celebrate with, they're very fashionable. They're very fashionable people. Like everybody had a suit. They're very passionate about this because they're in the military, and it's very ceremonial. It's important. You look good. And they thought this was a baller fit. They thought I made a baller move. So or maybe they were just being nice. But I'm just gonna. I had some thought behind it, and I feel like I did good.
Okay. Anyway, if you want to see what the hell that divorced dad mess was, go check his Twitter.
What the fuck is divorced dad mess? It's in the fucking chat. Check the chat. It's.
Is it?
Yeah. It should be. Maybe it censors links. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Nothing's popped up on my end.
All right.
But yeah, let's talk about Counter-Strike then. We do have an entire bracket to break down. We're going to start with the quarterfinals, obviously. We're going to go in chronological order. Of course, as well, quite importantly. Oh my god, I'm moving the wrong stuff around. It was an interesting start to things. For me, I had certain ideas about who would win. My bracket, let's just say, did not exactly come true in my pick'em. And the first game was the most important game of that, I think. For me, I wanted Spirit to win that opening best-of-3 for the playoffs. It felt right. They were the team in form. They're the team with the player who's most likely to be competing for number 1 in the world. I just needed them to be in that semi-final against Vitality. I thought it would have been the best storyline. Instead, they do get taken down by Mouse 2-1 after an absolutely bananas map of Mirage. I remember just sitting there, mind blown, clutch after clutch, 2vx after 2vx. I mean, some of the clutch rounds that Mouse had realistically didn't count as clutches necessarily, because they started as 2v4s and sometimes were won just outright from a 2vx situation. So there was never technically a clutch. Monster performance, actually, during that map, just from Spinks. Not necessarily throughout the entire map, but the OT period, when they needed some crazy, just win me the round fragging, Spinks was delivering. It was bananas. But yeah, after that map, the Mirage, the Spirit do eventually take over the line. I mean, it's team effort. They get it done. Everyone's playing up to their level, or at least at the kind of level you'd hope to see. I'm thinking, damn, we're about to see a proper Spirit game here. Like, they just won their opponent's pick.
Yeah.
Even Magix is fragging. This is going to be great. Dust 2 nuke. Utter collapse. Utter collapse.
Should have been Spirit.
As far as the fragging as well, just especially falling off the face of the earth. I mean, Dust 2, this was a map that chopper haters are going to feast off of. That Dust 2, there were some times where I thought he overcalled the fuck out of the map. Like, he tried too many things. He threw out like 3 different fakes just to do a B rush, and no one bit because there was nothing behind these fakes. There was no players used. There's just a lot of util thrown in random spots, and then boom, we try to run out onto a site and just got crushed. It was a disappointing map for me. As someone who's tried to be pro chopper, I feel like the haters are going to get some ammo on that one. They really are. But yeah, Nuke in the end of Decider. Zontic's, showing up, but just no impact from players like Shiro. Like, no real impact, round-winning, match-winning impact. What we'd gotten used to seeing, actually, in the sort of month leading up to this event, sort of went by the wayside instead. It's just a disappointing exit for Spirit. I don't know about you. I had Spirit winning just on form. I think you were talking about Mouse having the matchup edge, but I did feel like a lot of people were on my side. Like, in terms of the form, in terms of the counter we'd seen played at this event so far, felt like Spirit were heavy favourites. Just let themselves down.
It's very much Mouse definitely had the matchup edge. They had played each other 2 times prior in the year, and Mouse had won both times. Even before then, I think the only notable time Spirit beat Mouse, even in the last season, was in the Shanghai Major playoffs, where they knocked them out in the semi. But so I did feel that Mouse had an opportunity here, but I also was on board with Spirit were probably winning. Spirit played the better game. I did kind of resonate with what Jimmy said. I can't remember if it was before or after the game, when he said that they felt that going down 0-2 after the BO1s in the Swiss stage was really good for them, like for Mouse, because they knew that they didn't have a lot of good prep, and it allowed them to really use those best of 3s as practice, basically, where they could iron out all of their issues and come into playoffs a much stronger team than they were when, like, after their pre-event bootcamp. So that I did kind of resonate with, especially with the fact that Spirit went 3-0, didn't really get challenged, and yeah, that's good. But like, they showed some issues that they probably could have solved much better if they had more games prior in the event. So for that reason, I could see why this win happened. I didn't think it was gonna happen after Mouse lost Mirage, because you look at the veto, I feel like Dust 2 and Nuke were definitely gonna be Spirit wins. So
Dust 2 for me is the big one. Like, that's the map where I'm like, I feel like Spirit typically are pretty strong. They've got some strong ideas, and they hit the right notes, that you need to hit to make Dust 2 your map. They've got strong XX on T side. They've got a very potent combination locking down the sort of mid-rotation point. They're typically really good at challenging you and taking you off base when you try to do stuff through mid. I thought it was a pretty favourable map for them, especially when you look at the end of it and you're watching the game even. Torji just not asserting himself, like really struggling. He has his worst map of the series, I think, is Dust 2.
Yeah.
That should be a win for you. Like, realistically, if Mouse are beating you off the back of what? Jimmy topping the boards, I think he did, topping the fragging charts. That's a weird performance that you'd expect their Dust 2 to rely a lot more on other players than Jimmy, but they struggled. They really struggled. Did Spirit to really convince Mouse of anything? Like, they just had to sloppily kind of fall into site hits, and it just didn't really work out. So I am, disappointed by this Spirit run. But hey, it's always cool to see Mouse win on the biggest stage. It's always cool to see them continue to progress, because they do play some fun CS. Like, I think their nuke is actually pretty strong. I do think it was. It's been a strength of theirs, surprisingly, this year, is their ability to go and play nuke against the best teams, especially. And a part of that has been Spinks' ability to kind of find impact left, right, and center. I mean, it's been one of his best maps historically. Like, I remember on ENTS, it was his calling card, especially on the CT side. With this Mouse side, he's had some really great T-side maps for them. Just in terms of not necessarily taking space outside in the traditional sense, but more playing a very reactive sort of outer trading and lurking role that I think has been really fun to watch. Like, that's why they're so good, I think, in 3vx's, 4vx's. On Nuke is a combination of Brolan's read and the players he has to activate on that map, just so potent. Because on Nuke, a lot of space, teams get spread out on the CT side, you can find places to just take heads-up duels, and when Spinks is feeling it, he can hit some headshots that many players can't match. Like, he's actually that quick and that explosive. So they were really strong on Nuke this year. It wasn't a done deal. I did again like Spirit going into it, but they just fell flat again.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Jimmy really stepped up in both this game and the next one in a way which I don't think really shows in the stat line for any other maps really. But it's the fact that all year, at least for me, I feel like Jimmy hasn't really done much at all. Like, he's been very invisible.
He has fallen off. The way I described it was literally just like he's gone from the role god. He was our role god for the CS scene. Like, we talked about him in the anchor spots and these hard lurks, very isolated, but finding lots of frags, to all of a sudden just being a role player. Like, he's just a guy. That's kind of how it's felt this year.
Yeah. That's how it felt this year, and this year, like this game, and mostly in the next one. Like the next one, I can talk about. I can emphasize this a lot more. He's still not up there with the big numbers. Still not up there with the huge multi kills, like 3K, 4K, or clutches even. But he's there with like the key 2Ks, where like you go from a man disadvantage to an advantage from the anchor spots, and that was there in a bigger way. These 2 games, I feel like, and that. I mean, yeah, it felt like a difference maker to make this game a bit closer for me anyway. So for that, yeah. Other than that, like, it's hard. I feel like it's Spirit are due a change, and I've put that into the show notes. Actually, we're gonna talk about it. They do a bit of a change here. Like you said, the chopper haters gonna get some ammo. I'm not sure that's the move.
Yeah, you can't really justify a chopper move because.
Yeah.
Who are you bringing in? Like, that's always the question. Who are you bringing? Well, you want to go get Shalfie? You want to promote Robo? Like, it's a pretty difficult conversation to have.
Yeah, it's worth thinking about, but it's very difficult to make that call. And then even if you look beyond that, you're looking at like what you. I don't know. I don't know what else you're looking for in that case. You're looking at Boomage, who have not been playing. Batboom have not been playing that well, and there's reasons why that move might be impossible. You're looking at Electronic, who I would assume VP are very happy with them, considering how well they played this major after such a poor season. And yeah, you're looking at very, very weird moves. Yeah. I was pretty happy with how Mouse played this game, though. I was very happy with that, and I was cautiously optimistic heading into the next game. But I think that's all the notes I have from Spirit Mouse. Quarterfinals were very much lost on me because of Midsummer. This is I was gone.
Yeah, well, I was able to watch a good chunk of it. Mostly the big games like Spirit Mouse. I had to pay quite a lot of attention to. FaZe Mongolz and NAVI Vitality actually co-streamed.
Yeah,
I believe. Am I going crazy?
Might be right.
I don't know why I'm fully blanking on which day which games happened. As if I didn't watch the games.
First day was Spirit Mouse.
No, I co-streamed the semis. Was it the semis?
Yeah.
Fuck it. No, who knows? I am actually lost. I've been so delirious these last few days with the lack of sleep and the heat. No, I did skip.
Oh yeah,
semis.
you have like a big heat wave, right?
Oh, it's crazy, man. I can't sleep. I just can't sleep. Unless I'm at my girlfriend's place with a fan. Like, her fan just keeping everything at a regular temperature. It's not even cold, just a regular temperature. In my room, it's an oven. It's an actual oven.
Quick side note. I've seen a lot of people in the UK say that, oh, it's such a heat wave, and then they post a picture and it's 28 degrees. And most people will say that's absolutely fucking nothing. That's slightly above room temperature. But then everybody who's actually been to the UK is going to say, yeah, that is nothing. But in the UK, that's a fuck ton.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's just heavy, man. Firstly, it's 2 reasons. Firstly, indoors in the UK, obviously, this is a cold weather country with thick as fuck walls and insulation on the roof. You have to manage the heat. Like, it's a part-time job. You have to like keep the right windows open, the right blinds shut, like to make sure your house or your flat in this case doesn't get too warm. Then the other part is that it's just always super humid, and when it gets hot, for some reason the breeze just disappears, and it's just everything just sits on you. So yeah, it's a different kind of weather. But yeah, so no, I did stream the quarters. My God, I was completely out of it. Clearly, to be fair, the quarterfinal stream we were kind of lit, to put it one way. I had Sherbs over. We'd been out all day celebrating something. Any excuse, you know. Oh, he finished his coursework during his first year of uni. Let's go get sloshed.
Look, yeah, let's fucking do it.
But yeah, no, the quarterfinals were a bit of a weird one. That was the first quarterfinal. Furia Pain. I didn't keep up with this game. It started too late, you know, and I was just like, I'm not bothering.
Yeah.
But what on earth went wrong on Inferno? That's my question, because I've seen the numbers.
I saw this,
Yekindar
actually.
18 and 6. Yekindar ends the game 18 and 20. What on earth happened?
I saw this, actually. This was about 5 a.m. And it was one hell of a map. They start really well on the CT side, do Furia. But they sort of tie it up. It's almost tied up at halftime. They have a 7-5. They lose a big lead to that. And then they absolutely get completely slopped on the T side. Absolute ass. And you'll see Yekindar. He's the guy who has the big T side drop off. In a lot of ways, drops down to 3 frags from a really good CT side with 15. He's got 3 frags, and that includes overtime. That includes 3 overtime rounds on T side as well. So it's very much the CT side was stronger here. I feel like I kind of want to pin it on the op duel. I feel like, because NQZ was really good and Molodoy just wasn't really hitting on that CT side whatsoever. But NQZ was putting in work, so I do feel like NQZ was very much effective in taking those picks that he needed. But look, deeper analysis than that. It was 5 a.m. I remember I was watching Hallon Krem and Freiberg doing the Swedish podcast, and it was very much, there was no hype, and they were constantly cheering for whichever team was in the lead.
Just to finish it,
just praying they would close the map.
I've had that before. I've had that sort of series where you're like, whoever's winning, just close this out. Please stop.
Yep. Yeah, because it was going to be a late game, but then it was even later with the Mouse series, and then this was a 3-mapper where also like Furia could have very well closed it very easily from 7-1, but they end up losing. It just goes back and forth. They were like, look, there's gonna be a winners interview. We're not gonna broadcast it. We're exiting now. we're not gonna talk about this. But yeah, no, I don't feel like this was wholly unexpected. I feel like a lot of people might have painted this as a massive upset, and I feel like we've been pretty clear about the fact that this is a domestic matchup, and a lot of things can happen in these matchups, especially when you have Molodoy, like a player like Molodoy here, who absolutely, look, if I'm going to be honest, a couple of months ago he had no right being on a major stage. Like, so that's like, there's definitely reasons why Pain could have won this game and did win this game in the end, but it's hard to give a proper analysis, but it comes down to Inferno, and Pain I feel like just played a much better game there.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I came back to this map, I took a look. I was like, Nuke, Furia win, Molodoy tops the scoreboard. I'm like, okay, pretty good. Playoff major debut. Anubis, holy fuck. Pits of despair. Like, what on earth happened between those maps? I don't know. Anubis was a pretty solid map for him prior to this sort of game. Not sure what went wrong. And then map 3, forgettable, but the key talking points have been the riflers, it seems, as well as on Pain's side, just NQZ having himself an outstanding series, but especially a great closing map. I think that's a critical part of this. NQZ continues to prove that he kind of deserves like sort of star recognition right now. Like, he's playing better and better in these tier 1 events, like especially for Pain. He's been really strong, and hopefully he continues to shine, because Pain, sure, they go on the semi-final predictably, in my eyes, could only go one way. But they've shown us that it's not necessarily that this victory over Furia proves they're supposed to be like top 8 forever, but at least means that now when they come to events, we know what to expect. I think we can expect a decent level of play from certain players that we couldn't predict before. And we didn't have strong riflers every event. We had just questionable, inconsistent players, left, right, and centre. I think we're in a place where we can now rely on pain. We can still have conversations about is snow good enough and all this other crap, but we have a trio in NQZ, David, and DGT that we can be excited to watch.
Yeah.
Event after event.
And this is a team that I'm happy I've been putting faith into for quite a while. Even when they didn't look that good, I did feel like there was gonna be good stuff out of pain. And look, are they top 4 in the world because they made the semifinal? Absolutely not. But are they approaching the top 10 conversation? Yeah, I think they definitely could be within it. Like, there's into the next season. Look, we have some new look stuff. There might be some shuffles happening elsewhere. But if they go up against like a G2 or a NAVI or even an Aurora, I might pick pain there because that's the sort of level I feel like they're at. I'll definitely take them over Liquid, even after this major performance, probably over a VP. Like, they did beat VP. That's been a good matchup for them historically. So they're definitely in the top 10. They're definitely up in the top 10 for me, and that's a solid place for them to be. Yeah, there's conversations to be had. There's nobody here who has. I'd say there's nobody on this team who has like proven tenure. Like, are these people gonna carry on in tier 1 for years upon years? We don't know. Like, everybody here is new to this stage, but I would say every single piece in this team definitely has potential to do it, and that's a very solid position to be in for them heading into the fall season. And it's a good achievement.
We'll see. I mean, yeah. I think I'm a little higher than everyone else is on Liquid specifically. I always get some shit for that, but I still think they're actually pretty good. I still think watch next season. That's what I'm going to say. Everyone who wants to talk about one good map, watch next season. Watch next season.
I mean, I was on Liquid as well. I said we were gonna have 2 North American teams in the Austin playoffs.
Ooh.
I was wrong about North American. I got the wrong hemisphere.
That's just wrong. I'm sorry. It can't be like a 13-0 for the wrong team situation.
We don't get a half point, quarter. No,
none of that crap.
No. All right. Yeah.
The rest of the quarterfinals. FaZe Mongolz. Oh my word!
I think this is the bigger upset.
This is. I think Fury of Pain, FaZe Mongolz. I feel like we're talking about two matchups where the upsets are of like equal proportion, because we're both talking about games where we're like coming into this, there's a chance for either team to win, and we kind of don't think there's a. It's not like we're not watching Vitality NAVI where everyone's like, if NAVI win, the sky is falling on us, right? Like, we know Mongolz have the level to outplay this FaZe team. We just haven't seen it produced on the big stages. And I do love Blitz coming out of it. It was like, yeah, but it was only FaZe, guys. But like, maybe that's what's their attitude, and that's what allowed them to play like this. But for a lot of us, we're talking about some of the best name value in the scene in terms of the players on the roster. So I was worried for Mongolz, but my word. If Simple plays like that, of course you're going to fucking beat them.
And we're talking about, like, we were talking about this at length previously, because FaZe were one of our top candidates for absolute top candidates for being the champions. Like, one of our top 3.
Just statistically, top 3, but statistically, they had a great bracket drawn up in front of them. Like, they had a great opportunity to go and win the major. Obviously, they never. I think no one expects them to win the final, but it's just like, because they're so guaranteed to make the final. It felt like. Yeah, pretty good odds.
I think last week's pie, we definitely gave them the 3rd biggest chance.
I think we did
maybe 4th.
Reluctantly. It's like 3rd.
Yeah, reluctantly,
4th and 5th are like there.
It was basically tied with Mouse, I feel like,
Yeah.
We had them very high. And I did say, look, Mongolz are sort of in the same position that Mouse were in a couple of years ago, where they've shown good stuff. They just haven't shown it on the stage. And there was this cloud hanging over them. Like, anytime you guys can do this on stage, like, at any point, there's gonna be that game. At some point, whether it's tomorrow or in 5 years, even. Maybe not 5 years, but like in a long time, you guys are gonna click and you guys are gonna win that stage game, and that's gonna be your big win. That's gonna be your big break. That's when you unlock sort of the next step, where you go from this young team, which is promising group stages, but they crumble under arena pressure because they're teenagers, which Mouse was before. And then there was that one game, and suddenly it's a different world. And it could be the FaZe game. And it was the FaZe game. I feel like that absolutely was the FaZe game. FaZe played a poor game. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that FaZe played their best game. Simple was nowhere. There's this very, very much, very spread, the clip we've all seen of Simple in doing that whiff on Mirage, which was very much
one of his two
one of the,
multi-shot whiff rounds on Mirage.
yeah.
Just like to point out, because everyone fixates on that one, because that's the one on like map point. But that's the second time that map he'd had that disastrous whiff. Like,
Yes.
with multiple shots missed in a row, and I'm like, oh fuck. And the worst part is I have people coming into my chat just because I was streaming on GoTV feed, which is 2 minutes behind. I had people coming in like, bro, just full caps laughing. And I'm like, what's going on? They're just like, just watch Simple.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. I just couldn't. It boggles the mind. How can I see this attached to the former GOAT? For many people now, former GOAT. Like, how can this be the CSGO GOAT? For sure. It was awful. It was awful. I mean, a great performance from players like 910 and Senzu, I think, has to be noted. Like, those are the two key playmakers that we want to see deliver in the playoffs when we're talking about the Mongols. Yep. Those two being really strong was a vital part of this win. But I think a player who across the course of the Mongols' sort of playoff run, but especially that quarterfinal, I think that map 2, Anubis, who deserves a little bit of credit, just like actually, you know what? You're pretty good. Well, you had a good run. I still have certain opinions. Techno had a really strong playoff run, and that Anubis was a great just performance from him individually. I mean, we still needed 910, we still need Senzu and all that stuff, but Techno, pretty good. Pretty good. I'm impressed.
Very good, very good. And I'm going to talk about it later in the final. But there's, I feel like the Senzu and 910 of it all. Senzu is a guy who has never showed up on the big stage prior. And he absolutely showed up against FaZe. And that's big, to both for him and 910 to be able to sit in a server across from Elish and Simple and Frozen, Kerrigan and Rain, and be able to step up to that level that they did, especially on Anubis, is really good. And yeah, FaZe played a poor game. I do think even if FaZe showed up with a better game, I still am not sure I would take them over 3 maps. I'm not sure I would take them over Mongolz here. Like they definitely had a big chance to win. Like we predicted they would, but they played a poor game, and I feel like if they played with some of the form they had in the group stage, then maybe. But it's still not that clear cut. Mongolz definitely deserve this, and this is a big step up for them. Like this is one which I think takes them from the outskirts to the top 5. Even if they don't move in the ranking, like I probably still wouldn't put them above, maybe above Falcons, but like I wouldn't put them that far above Spirit or Mouse, to be honest. In a over the course of a season, like heading into next season, where do I think they end up? I'm not sure I would actually move them, but I would definitely say, whereas before we had a gap from the top 4 down below, Mongolz are definitely closer. I feel like Mongolz are in the conversation much more, and that's something which this specific game and this specific playoff run did, and yeah, that's very good. That's very good. So yeah, but Techno as well. Techno does deserve some credit. I'm gonna save it for the final because that's where I feel like he put in his best work. So I'll mention it there.
No, he was on form, on his typical form when it came to map 1 of that series. Just map 2, he did deliver.
Yeah.
But no, this has been, for FaZe, this was a criminal performance. Like realistically, Frozen was a reliable star fragger for them time and time again. Even if we're talking about Simple having ups and downs and all this sort of stuff, we could pretty much rely on Frozen to be a rock. Dreadful map 1. To be fair, the only player who wasn't dreadful map 1 was Kerrigan. Kerrigan kept them alive in that map time and time again. Again, the wrong player. This shouldn't be on him. That shouldn't be his burden. So the Mongols, I think even in a 3-mapper, if we go to Ancient, I still think win it. Let's say somehow Anubis goes the way of FaZe. Say, there's maybe a round here or there that could go the other way. It goes the way of FaZe. I still see them as the stronger team rolling in that series, probably go into Ancient and win. That's easy to say when you see them win 2-0. But no, yeah, Mongols delivered. Love to see it. The quarterfinal was the most predictable. Still a bit uncomfortable to watch overall. I didn't think it'd get so close. But Vitality, 2-0 NAVI. Yeah, Nuke a bit closer than I wanted it to be. I think CT side from Vitality is usually far more locked down, especially after a 7-5 opening. Like they get 7-5 on the T side. Their CT play, I think, a bit disappointing. Some of the key riflers, and not getting picked on, but just struggling a bit. I think Alexi B having far more impact than I expected. But all in all, yeah, this is Vitality. This is this is the result we expect, right? Like, this shouldn't go any other way.
Yeah. Shouldn't go any other way. I'm not overly surprised by it being this close. Navi are not the kind of team that I feel like ever really roll over and get absolutely run over. It's gonna be a 13-9, 13-10, and even if it looks unconvincing, that's probably the scoreline they can reach just through bullshit. But yeah, especially with Rops and Flamesy not really hitting in that sense. That's good. But yeah, Messi's there. And bails them out.
UKCS bailed them out. That was the talking point on stream, I think I remember. Just UKCS bailing out Vitality. Yeah, love it. Big up Messi.
Yeah. So for that, that's good. Not much to talk about. I didn't watch this game. I was getting shit-faced at this point. But it's it is the worst time to have a major. It is the worst time to do anything other. Like, I didn't ever thought about checking my phone because I was deep in the midst of midsummer. But yeah, this is the expected result. It's a solid game from Wonderful. Like, I'll give some credit. I'm a Wonderful hater. I feel like he's not a particularly good player, and I think throughout the history of this show, both of us have agreed on that. And he wasn't bad here. It was, again, the JL. This is where you needed that sort of JL X factor that we had when we were talking about the Copenhagen bullshit. You had JL as the X factor, who could just pull rounds out of his ass. This is the game where you needed that, and you didn't have that. This is Imme, showed good form like at the end of last season, and even for periods of this season has shown decent form. What didn't do that whatsoever here. And then you have Bit as well. Bit, again, this is where you could have used that big Bit activation, and maybe you were waiting for Bit Ferno as the third map, but you have to get there. And yeah, Bit carries on. Look, at 107, it's better than his year average, which is kind of insane to say, but it's tragic to say that that's better than his year average. But you're gonna need more out of that. You're gonna need the real Bit to make this game work. So it wasn't really here for Navi whatsoever, and I'm not surprised. Not surprised by that.
Yeah, they didn't have a true activation from the riflers. Like, Wonderful actually on the AWP, I thought was finding a lot of picks and actually playing pretty well. But it's not you, Quacker. It's just disappointing when you watch Navi, and you think, especially when you're watching them, and Alexi B is finding more impact than anyone else. Like, holy crap. What a struggle series to watch. They created a lot of advantages as well. That was the weird part. Like, they actually had a decent game plan coming into this.
Yeah.
Like, I thought they, as usual, Navi are like, all right, the coach is probably pretty good. The IGL's pretty good. Everything else just falls short. Yeah. Absolutely. Like, that's just not been good enough. And when you play against a team like Vitality, even if two of their players who are typically star level underperform, you still have a role guard and a superstar to deal with, plus a good IGL, plus a decent game plan. Even if you might have a better game plan and maybe a slight edge on the calling, maybe you managed to come into this one better prepped and with better ideas. They've got enough. They've always got enough. And that's what's terrifying about Vitality. They can beat you in every way.
Yeah.
And that one, even though it's a 2-0, they didn't exactly smash them. They just beat them. And that's good enough.
They just beat them. That's good enough. There's probably going to be changes in Navi. We don't have anything in the shuffles for that. I think they have just said that. Blade said something
Vitality. No, it was Alexi actually said in an interview, like, there's a good chance there's changes. Like, he just outright said it.
I think they said in Astana, they said that if we don't deliver in Austin, there's going to be changes. So, like, he did say something like that. And then Blade said something to the sort of, we have to deliver. And I think he said, if we remove somebody, and he said, like, if it's not going to be like here and there, I think there is going to be a change. Like, there's absolutely no way you carry on with this team. And at this point, you are quite a while, like quite deep into a big underperformance compared to last year, where team of the year is, was it that clear? But yeah, they were still very good last year, and you carry on with the same roster, seemingly nothing internally seems to change to the point where it actually changes anything in the way they perform into this season. So yeah, there's going to be a change at some point. I'm imagining. Is there anything? What do you want to see? What do you want to see happening here for now? Because I don't think we're talking about them ever again for the rest of the season. So
No, I don't. I don't know. Let me think. I've wanted promotion from the academy, but at the same time, I need to know that this isn't just going to be the same system, because we'd be shoehorning in the wrong players. I think if we make promotion, like academy promotions, I think they need to rethink how they're going to play. My ideal scenario is goodbye Imma. Hello Krabany.
That's not a bad call. That's a good call.
Like, that's just the simplest, easiest one. Because again,
Makaze
might be the more talented
player, and
player.
you're bringing in.
Yeah, you need to bring in a player who's also going to think. If we're just going to play the same way, otherwise, I could get behind a full overhaul. Like, bring up Krabany and Makaze, potentially say goodbye to JL, and change the approach. Change the approach. Yes, Krabany is the IGL. That's why he'd come in for Imma, because he's currently.
Because Imma does a lot. Imma does a lot on the server.
He does a lot of mid-round calling. He has a lot of influence. And Krabany is a rather active IGL in terms of setting himself up as a star and delivering numbers. It's not just that he's not some traditionalist IGL in terms of the hard entry and a brain. Like, he's doing far more on the server than that. So that's why that sort of change makes sense to me. I think changing out JL, even though it feels unintuitive, and I've loved JL in this roster in the past, I do think making the change to bring in Makaze in that spot, taking Bit away from certain aggressive roles and just playing a more explosive style with Bit closing rounds on the T side, I think could be the play as well. So
if Bit nips this in the bud and decides to leave before they finalize anything here, are they fucked?
Can he?
I think he can.
I think I've looked at. I don't know what his contract situation is.
not public, but I would I've looked at the timings and I feel like it could be ending at the end of this year, so he could definitely go to Falcons. Like, Falcons would pay for him, surely.
Yeah, potentially. Makes more sense on the role front. We've all had that conversation. Bit to come into that Falcons team.
Yeah,
in that context, you're probably making more promotions. You're probably going to try and take a risk on Demon as well. So yeah, we'll see what comes through.
Right.
We'll see what comes through.
Let's move on.
Semis time.
And
I'm going to be honest, I've completely ignored Pain Mongols.
I didn't watch it.
My lower third is just referencing the other series.
Pain Mongols, just as a real quick note, I didn't watch it, but I'm happy with the scoreline because when I woke up in a haze, still dressed in my shirt and tie on Saturday morning. No, I didn't have a tie. I took the tie off, but I had the shirt on. When I woke up and I looked at the scores, I was like, okay, we have Pain Mongols happening today or tonight, and I'm gonna. If this isn't a Mongol slaughter, it does feel like it takes away from the face game a bit. Because if Pain put up a good fight here against Mongolz, I would feel like this is looking bad for Mongolz in the final. So it's good that they had the 13-5, they had the 13-5, they had the 16 straight, or 13 straight as well on Mirage, the 0-5 to 13-5. That's good. The players were there. We had the Sensu clutch. That's good. Like, we had 9-10 popping off. We had all the players on Mongolz doing well, even Mazzinho activating quite a bit, which didn't really happen for much of this playoffs or major as a whole even. And that's good. All good, and I felt really good going into the final, and I think that's all we have to say about Pain.
No, for me it was, it was a team playing just a tier above in terms of CS. It's why I still struggle with the idea of Pain being outright top 10. I just think Mongolz played better Counter-Strike overall and dominated. I mean, look, some clutches, some big impact from the impact players. helps as well. But realistically, yeah, this was just the better team playing better CS and winning. Loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. But let's talk about the real game. Vitality Mouse. Yep. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
What a game.
I mean, none of the maps are close. And Mirage had me kind of concerned for Mouse, because they pick it and just end up facing a Vitality who outplay them on Mirage, like just outplay them. The CT side, everything that you typically expect from Vitality came through. You know, they're very detail-oriented style with a lot of good utility, good setups. The willingness on a lot of rounds to, like, the default that Vitality often show you on Mirage, and a couple other maps as well, this is a thing they do a lot, is that they're not going to really challenge your mid control. They're going to let you have the map control that's free, and then they're just going to just read what you're doing and crunch you on the bomb sites and just absolutely wreck you. Like, you cannot get those free sites. They'll push extremities for control a lot. You know, you'll see rounds where they'll, for example, take ramp control and then play the entire CT round from there. Like, that's going to be the base of their defense of the A bomb site. They're going to make these sorts of passive positions the norm. And then occasionally they'll throw in the mid aggression, and that's the curveball. That's what all of a sudden hits you. And a lot of teams have had it like kind of the other way around. They've been trying to challenge mid more often, but as at the highest level especially, mid control's gotten so strong for the T side. This approach from Vitality, I feel like it will be the future. Just occasionally throwing in the gimmick to catch the other team out, rather than trying to hold on to that space where it's just not in your favor. And that's what they did to Mouse really well. Inferno, though, what on earth happened there? Let's put it that way. Like, I stopped watching for a bit. Like, I go get a drink, or I stopped paying attention because I need to do something else. I can't remember what exactly it was, but I come back to Inferno and I'm seeing the scoreline. I think it was like 6 or 7 rounds in. I was like, huh. Surely they'll bring it back.
Making a map out of it, yeah.
Yeah, surely Vitality bring it back. No. They got smashed. And by guess who? The AWPer. They got AWPed to death on Inferno. Yeah. What the fuck? Torji, take a bow. Your map of the event, really. That's your Torji special right there. That Inferno CT side. My word.
Yeah.
Was not expecting that.
Yeah, exactly. They puts in a really solid performance there. He was very emotional after the game, saying he let his team down. I think on train that's kind of true. Like, if we're going to be cutthroat and we're going to be honest, but they wouldn't have made it there without him, I don't think. It was a very, very solid map for them. I don't know what's happening there.
Hang on. 0 AWP kills for ZywOo on Inferno.
Yep. Like, ZywOo ends with a 162, an 18-15 scoreline. That's good. I think if you look at your Skybox numbers,
impact, but then the AWP just never used. He's just, I think Inferno's his least AWP-centric map, especially on the T side, and they mostly play the T side. But still, it's hilarious to me to come out of the back end of that and be like, Torji dominates on the AWP. ZywOo doesn't touch it.
I think if you look at that at the Skybox numbers here, you're also going to see a lot of eco frags from ZywOo. So
eco frags. They had eco frags. They lost 13-4.
Yeah, there was in particular one 4K at the end there. Just at 3:12, he pulls out a 4K against the Glock round. Okay. So that's nice for him, I guess. But yeah, it's good for Mouse. It's good. It's a good map. It's a good map. It gets very soured by the fact that they go to train instead of Dust 2, which, like, they beat Spirit on Dust 2 like 2 days before. And they have the option to go to Dust 2, but they go to train, and it definitely felt like they did not plan. Like, if you're going to train as your third map, you better have a plan. And it definitely felt like they didn't. Like, they played it 2 times before against Vitality in deciding maps. Like, they played it in the 5th map Lisbon final, lost it. They played it in the 3rd map in Rivals. I think that was a playoff game, or maybe it was a group stage game. 8-13 loss. It's the 3rd time you're going up against Vitality this year on train, and you better have a plan. But it just didn't look that way whatsoever. Like, it looked stupidly simple. Like, it looked stupidly dumb. So
yeah, dominant CT side. I mean, Vitality have had a really strong train CT side.
Yep.
But you should know how they're going to play it, right? You should know how they're going to play it. And this is a map where ZywOo does AWP, of course. Train is an AWPer's paradise. Paradise, sorry.
Paradise.
And Paradise. And Apex and FlameZ have been probably the best outer duo.
Yeah.
As well as ROPS being one of the best inner anchors. Like, it's been a really comfortable map for Vitality. So allowing the series to go there, especially, I don't know. They removed Dust too. I think they might have had a better chance on Dust too, but still, it's tough to say because Vitality love it as well. But Train has not been in their favor in this matchup. Let's put it that way.
I feel like if they knew they were gonna absolutely thrash Vitality on Vitality's map pick Inferno, if Mouse knew that, they might have picked Dust 2 instead. Because it's like, okay, doesn't like, then we can maybe take Dust 2 as well. They couldn't have known that obviously, but
Sure.
then it's maybe they're playing on like, let's try to play on an even playing field and try to make this close and win out the key rounds. That's not really gonna happen on this map. And also just some dumb mistakes. Like I feel like that one Apex post plant on B side where he walks around the train. Like I get it's rushed, it's late in the round, they have to get the plant down, and I get they're trying to do something like group up in an off position off the bomb. Like I get they're trying to do something like that, but it just feels so stupid watching Apex walk straight into bomb site and just get 2 off a trigger discipline. That's just, it just feels really dumb. So I'm not particularly happy about that. I'm not particularly how they played that. It's a ZywOo, like ZywOo also takes it over. Like ZywOo absolutely shows up and does an excellent job.
Yeah,
to bring that home.
He's got that freedom, you know, on that.
Yeah.
On the Train CT side, where he can kind of be set up in a variety of different spots. He can take different lines, and he can actually use the AWP comfortably. Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
He leans on it far more on Train than he does on other maps, and he was excellent. That round you're talking about with Apex, I thought it was a pretty sick round from Apex. Like.
Oh yeah, no, like yeah, it is, but it does feel stupid.
Letting
like,
ZywOo die just to set up the perfect 2 kills. Great play,
but
great play.
For Mouse, it definitely did feel stupid to like. It's such a common position as well. Like obviously, there's going to be somebody on the bomb site, and so many people play behind the train. It just, you know, again, 25 seconds on the clock when they decide to go B. I get it's rushed, but you don't even check it. Like they didn't even like. It just feels very dumb. So for that, it's a simple mistake, which could have saved their game. Maybe at that point it wasn't. Actually, at that point it probably would have been possible to save the game. It was 1-8. That's comebackable especially if you take a round like that. But for that, it was yeah.
By the way, I checked the Skybox numbers for the Mouse game. ZywOo's ADR without eco frags 101.
Good on Inferno alone.
On Inferno alone. So,
all right, yeah.
I mean, with the eco frags, it's 130, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
He did have 400 ADR versus egos because they faced one eco. They faced one eco. He got 4 kills.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. That's all. That's all the eco fragging was. The majority of it was buy round v buy round, and he was trying.
Yeah, he was definitely trying. Didn't really materialize too much, but yeah, that's the Mouse game. I feel like it's a
bit of a whimper in the end. I expected a banger third map. Like I thought there'd be more from Train, but in the end, Vitality outclassed them. It really was an outclassing, which was not what I thought would happen. And we move on to the grand final, which was interesting. I'm not sure if I can say I was truly excited by the result, because it was all landslide maps. It was quite strange. A bit of a speedrun grand final for a major, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It started quite late. For me, it was 9:30, and it was still finished at a reasonable hour, and I got to bed in time. And that's for a 3 mapper. That's insane. No, we had Mirage as an opener. Mongolz picked Mirage. Definitely had the feeling that they had to make Mirage work to even have a chance of winning this game. Didn't expect them to do it in that fashion. And I'm gonna say what I spoke about last week, just to reiterate that point, that this is a different Vitality. It's a very strong mentality in terms of what Vitality have. They have had a problem with the idea of having the difficult game, the real grand final, in the semifinal, and then losing at the final against the worst opponent because you underestimate them. Historically, Apex-led Vitality teams have had that problem with this core, with Flamesy, with Saiwu,
In
and with Mist.
previous years.
In previous years, yes. Last time they even had the important caveat, yes, but also the last time they even had a chance to overcome that was in Dallas, where they had, and they said, yes, we underestimated G2 with Sui because we felt like the semifinal was the game that was going to win us the event against Spirit. We underestimated G2 and we put everything into the Spirit game, and we thought we were prepared, but we were underprepared for that final. And yes, it is a different Vitality. We would have expected them to have fixed this issue, and I think this Mongolz map shows that they haven't, because this is the next time after that Dallas event they've even been in this scenario where they've beaten the two better teams well, maybe not the two, but one of the better teams in the semifinal. That was the real challenge. That was the more difficult opponent, was in the semifinal than the grand final. And that's the first time that's happened since they were in that Dallas final. The only other one was Cologne, and that was an upset for them. They were playing against it was the number one team in the world at that time. And in the others, they were always playing Mouse. They were always playing Falcons. They were playing Spirit. They came in as I would say they came in as underdogs into Katowice against the reigning major champions who just took home the bounty win, and they swept that. And then you move through this. It's like they're big favorites, and everybody they played was always. I don't know if they played Spirit in another grand final, but they played Mouse a lot and they played Falcons a lot. It's definitely that they wouldn't underestimate other top 4 teams at that point. And here we go on Mirage, and they get absolutely battered by Mongolz. And I feel like this is exactly that same issue where, I think they said as much in the interviews as well, where it's like, we just, Mongolz played a very good game and we weren't really ready for it. And I thought it looked that way in the game as well, because it's just all of the Mongolz players are super confident in taking these fights. They're just swinging into them. They're catching Vitality with nades in their hand, and they're winning straight one-to-one duels all the time. Vitality are losing clutches. It's like, it definitely felt that way to me. And I think that that's still an issue they have. What they've fixed at this point is that they can have that wake-up call, and they use it as a wake-up call. And I think they realize, guys, this is a mistake we've made so many times before, and we're about to make it again, and we can't let that happen. So let's shape the fuck up. But yeah, I'm just going to open with that's what I felt happen on Mirage. And
I don't think so at all. Here's the thing. The first half is a battle, right? Like an actual battle. And it goes back and forth. And this is a thing with grand finals. They open with the pistol round. They get broken back on the first, true gunny. Or not true. It's not the true gun, is it? The first round that Mongolz win, round 4.
Yeah, it would be. They forced after the pistol because they did force plan.
I'm trying to think, because Mongolz economy was all over the shop this entire series. They kept doing a lot of questionable stuff. So I was wondering
first gun round was 4. Yeah, and Mongolz win it.
Yeah, bomb down, force, eco. There it is. Yeah, but they break open from that point onwards, sort of the Mongolz T side. But what's allowing them to win rounds isn't Vitality, I think, playing not their game or playing a poor game. It's literally Mongolz hit the shots in a lot of scenarios, and that's not, they're not walking into this underestimating this opponent. They're playing their game. We're just not getting a great level from certain individuals. Koff, Zaiwu really struggled to win heads-up duels, and Vitality is still set up to get the trades. They're doing the right things, playing the right way. They're still taking fights with proper flashbang setups. They're doing everything right. They're just missing the shots, and a lot of the times, that's the difference. And that's the close first half. The second half, they got rolled. At that point, you can literally talk about confidence, though. I'm talking. Senzu put up a 3.5 rating in the second half. Like, you're talking about one of the best halves that guy will ever play in his life. I excused it. It's the first half where they were just not sharp enough. It's not about underestimating their opponent. They just weren't sharp enough. They took them seriously. They played their best CS in terms of the theory, like the best version of their CS. They just didn't hit the shots. I think that was, for me, the first half. Where it comes back, though, is after that. Because after that, they play Dust 2. They're still playing the right CS. All of a sudden, the people who weren't landing all their shots are landing their shots. And you'll see they're playing a different tier of CS. I don't think you're underestimating an opponent. You come in a bit rusty.
I don't know. To me, it felt that way, but because I felt like they were making some mistakes. you're also right that Mongolz played an excellent game. Like even if
there
what
were
I'm
moments
saying
in the first half where literally Mongols are reading Vitality setup and rotating to the right bomb site. Like I'm talking, Apex is playing the passive setups we're talking about. He pulls his players towards A, Blitz throws, gets a top con smoke and goes short to B. Like he just he had a great read on the game. He, I think, had great prep. You can argue Vitality could have changed everything up from semi to grand final, but I think Blitz just had a great understanding of how they were going to play. And out-delivered, out-executed, I think is also the other part.
The utility usage definitely won that map, I feel like, for Mongolz in a big way. Along with hitting the shots, they definitely had excellent utility usage, and especially on the fly.
Clutches.
Especially on the fly, they really did really good. As in, like, you're sitting on 45 seconds on the clock, and you have this map control is 3-on-3. What are we gonna do? Well, smoke off here, and we're gonna flash you into that angle, and that's what's gonna win the round. And it ends up being the case. And they're very methodical. There's that one round where Rops and I think it was Rops and Flamesy double up in A main, and they're really methodical with clearing out Palace. They start clearing out the site very cautiously. A little bit of utility usage, but they're just, they know that there's going to be somebody in A main, in ramp, and they managed to make it work and all of that. But also, like I did say, I was going to talk about Techno. Mirage is the map to talk about Techno. He has 2 very big clutches on that map. Like, again, the stats won't really show it, but he has 2 huge clutches on that map. And I think it's really a statement that both of them as well were against Messi. Like, against Messi, who's been so good in this major. He is one of the more clutch players of this year overall. And for Techno to just come in straight and do that, it also shows the quality that Techno has, because Techno is insanely cracked. Like, he has really good mechanics. Like, he can find insane headshots, and a lot of those clutches he was winning was because he found the key headshot on the timing. Yeah. Like, somebody's walking out connector, and he has just about repositioned, and it's an instant headshot. And like, he's coming up against Messi in a 1-on-1. Messi has the M4. Messi has the HP advantage as well. Techno needs the headshot. He finds the headshot, and that's the mechanical skill that Techno possesses, which doesn't really show itself outside of these sort of clutch rounds. But yeah, then the CT side, obviously, Senzu 910 kind of take it over. To me, it didn't feel like they were doing a lot in terms of like the bread and butter. Like, you're getting the frags you need to win the round. It wasn't the key.
They were pulling out the double AWP, like finding, like, there's a round where like 910 finds a pick. Vitality look for a fight somewhere else. Senzu picks that player off. You're like, what the hell's going on? Like, one of them's pushing apps, the other one's holding a different line. Like, they really locked in, and I love that they're kind of the one team trying to bring the double AWP meta back, and it sometimes like just clicks, and it looks so good.
The 910 ace is so good. The 910 and the 10 ace is extremely good. It's rare that we really get the it's very rare that we get an ace in a major final. Apparently, this was pointed out by Yumi on Twitter, which is very poetic. You should check that out. I'm not going to read it out now, but you should. Yumi has a post up which you should check. I do think that the Techno was one of the big players. Mezzinho, I was sitting there after the map and I was thinking, wow, Mezzinho really didn't do much aside from hitting some pretty impressive deagle shots. Like, he had a couple of really good deagle shots in a couple of
that deagle round, and that's about it.
Yeah, but that deagle round isn't much, because those are the 2 frags they get. He gets 2 sick deagle frags on a deagle round, and that's about it. But I didn't feel like he was underperforming, because I also felt like he didn't lose much. Like, he just had teammates doing all the work. So they played an excellent map. I think, it speaks volumes, like Bob is saying in the chat. By rating 3.0, I think Nero would have posted this. Techno was the highest rated player on Mirage.
Yeah, pretty insane. That's going to be a lot of it due to those clutches. Like, that's going to be the impact of the round swing. That's why I do think 3.0 is still in beta to a certain extent. Like, we're still developing it. Because I don't think he was the best player on Mirage. I just think he had a couple rounds that were big in terms of swing. Especially when you look at the situation. If you're doing like deep analytical work and you're watching like the exact angles he has to face and how quick he has to hit that first headshot, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Boom. That should get busted. It's not in beta. It should be, because that's wrong.
Well, it is.
It's a one-off example. I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be that offhandedly.
There's a reason why it's
dismissive.
not released. There's a reason why it's not.
I mean,
it is still being developed.
But yeah, that's an example where I'm a bit like, I do still think the best player on that map was probably Senzu or 910. They really locked it down second half. But look, after Mirage, Inferno, Dust 2 rather, sorry. Guess who's back to save the day? UKCS, baby. UKCS. Mezzi puts up an absolutely ridiculous performance, but also quite importantly, Zaiwu, just classic. Classic. I mean,
yeah,
it's a map that goes 17 rounds. It's not even a 13-0. 100% cast.
Yeah.
Like I do think actually Dust 2 at times got sloppy from Vitality. If you're talking about a map where you didn't take your opponent seriously, that T half, ugly. Like Mongols are just force buying and Vitality just giving them fights time and time again around mid and just getting picked off and having to win like 1v1s just to close out what should be comfortable rounds. But the first half, the CT side, everything Vitality tried kind of worked. At one point, they got the second AWP out on Rops and he went up mid with the AWP. And I was like, this is crazy. He gets the kill, and that's cool and all, but yeah, they tried some pretty outrageous stuff.
Yeah, he gets traded out. I think that's the same round where he gets traded out, and then I think Vitality go for something and they lose, and it's an advantage Mongols. And I think that's the same round where Mazzinho is trying to do something towards long, and he has like a little flank happening there. No, Zaiwu has the flank. Zaiwu pushes long doors, I think, and he's not supposed to hit that. Like, you know, I think he whiffs the first shot, but like I can't remember exactly, but it definitely felt stupid in that one round. So yeah, there's a couple of those things where like Vitality, they managed to swing back. Every time Mongols seem to have an advantage, they managed to swing back. The only rounds Mongols managed to win were off of clutches. They never felt comfortable on that map.
No,
and that's important. That's important for Vitality.
Fantastic. I mean, that was that was a thing of beauty. Like the timing on the push, like as the molly lands, boom, pushes out, double spray.
Yeah.
The final shot's so quick as well. But yeah, no, you're right. Everything that Vitality were doing was working. They were able to work every disadvantage back into an advantage. I mean, the Rops round where he just kills 4 people as they're trying to do some sort of B pop.
Yeah.
Filthy. Like he gets half those kills through the edge of the smokes and things. Like it was some classic Rops play, really. Like all built off the spray control, understanding the angles, like pre-firing as he swung a couple of times, just to make sure he could get his kills on low HP, converting the damage done. It was just a great round. Like they played some great CS, and everyone, even Apex, who didn't have that crazy stat line, everyone delivered in the ways they can.
Yeah, and even in that Senzu clutch round, Rops opens it up with 2 op frags on the B side. That's so
those were great
on the
picks.
second
I thought
really
that round looked kind of screwed. Like they looked like they'd been outflanked. Like the players are execing B, no one's B, but there's no smoke for the doors. And Rops just comes up, great double kill. Most AWPers would be happy if that was them. Like that's just great AWP play. But Senzu, playmakers make plays. Playmakers make plays, and that's what Senzu did. That's what we've been talking about. He's got to be the playmaker for the team. There, he stepped up and delivered. Love to see it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, but that's Canada's too. They don't really get comfortable. And Inferno, I honestly, when it was 1-1, and Dust 2 was always going to be a Vitality win, didn't look that good for Mongols that they weren't managing to get this comfortable. But like we said, there were some mistakes from Vitality. Like there were some rounds that felt like they could have been Mongols rounds if Vitality weren't so good. Like Mongols did what they could, I think. So I was honestly a bit hopeful for Inferno, considering how battered Vitality had been on Inferno both times they played it prior to this major. And like the analyst said it as well, you're going into Vitality's most studied map, even if it's maybe not their best map at the moment. It used to be one of their best maps. They had a weak showing at this event. Like in the past couple of weeks, they haven't really done much on Inferno. They've definitely worked on it quite, like from that legacy loss, they've definitely looked a lot at Inferno. So that's a ballsy pick, especially since you're banning Nuke to make it there. But yeah, you're going into Inferno. I had some hope here, especially when they win Pistol. I definitely had some hope, but it didn't.
Yeah, but here's the thing:
didn't work out.
Vitality do what they've basically done best this year: Round two force buy after losing CT pistol, they're so good at winning it. They basically can't lose CT pistol because either they win it or they win round two, and they win round two with an alarming success rate. Not only that, their CT pistols generally are pretty strong, but if you do manage to break through, you're not getting that free streak. Their force buys have been so potent. That was another classic example. Like the setups, just near perfect every time, and of course it comes down to a ZywOo 1v2, and that might be the highlight for some people. But all the positions, all the frags, they were just in the right spots. And they were very combative in the ways they needed to be. So yeah, that's been the calling card of Vitality this year, is those round two force buy wins. But overall, Inferno was, at times, just a tale of utility. Like really, some of the HE exchanges Vitality came out on top on. Some of the flashbang usage, I mean, this was highlighted. This is something I noticed immediately, but also was highlighted later in a Discord. I noticed was like ZywOo with a double flash assist, I think, at one point to close out a round. It might have been even to close out the entire map. And you're like, yeah, that's kind of it. The story of map 3 is just Vitality outdoing the Mongols in terms of the utility and the way they used it and coordinated off the back of it. After that as well, that was a couple times on the CT side, they were able to lock down the B bomb site with just 2 guys. Like they didn't have the right rotation. They didn't have a play even close. And it was just Apex and FlameZ, I think, just shutting everything down. They really did. They really did deliver the Inferno we hoped they would. If they had gone smashed on Inferno Vitality, that'd have really pissed on everything. Especially considering it was such a great map for them early in this streak.
Yeah.
Or for the majority of the streak, basically. But yeah, the Inferno closeout was fantastic. I mean, it wasn't as clean in the second half, 4-3. You know, took some work, but that CT half was smashing.
I do think that a big part as well why Mongolz couldn't make anything happen here is when they had their chances, when they had good opportunities to win rounds, especially on the A-side post plants, when Mezzinho's pulling out miracles, like again, he's showing up at this point. Senzu wasn't really here in this map, and especially 9-10, in especially these moments. He's got a couple of sitters, and if he hits them, you know, it's a clutch attempt from Vitality, retaking Inferno A-side.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult.
He had some bad whiffs. I mean, not all of them were his fault. There's one where, like, there's a 2v2 after he's gotten, like, 2 kills, and then he gets, like, shot in the back, and you're like, all right, fair enough. But there are some other post plants where he just, he could have landed those shots. And that's all of a sudden a closer half. I still think they lose, but no, not the same 9-10.
At that point, it's much... Yeah, and that's something, for me, it felt a bit like, okay, we're seeing the difference between, you know, a really good player, a championship level player, a championship level opper, and an opper who's playing his first game anywhere near this caliber. We're seeing the difference here, and that's sort of how I felt. There's a couple, like, even on CT side, like, he started getting opening picks. I think he had 2 rounds in a row where he got the opening pick on the op, down middle. Very solid. But I think in both of those rounds, he was then tested in the late round, and he couldn't hit it. Like, he had a shot on the A side, trying to retake the A side. Doesn't hit it. Like, it's not a super easy shot to hit, but he doesn't hit it. Like, that's the one you've got to hit. And I think ZywOo would have hit it. Even on a poor map like this, I think if ZywOo was in the same situation, he would have hit it. So that's the difference. So that didn't feel particularly good, to be honest, about that. I did feel like it's a 13-6 in the end. It's a 3-9 half. I feel like it might be a 7-5 half if 9-10 hits some of those shots. Maybe even 6-6, because there's a couple of those rounds which could have been really make or break. Like, Vitality built great economy early on, really good at that. But there's still a couple of force buy rounds where Mongolz get a really good foothold, and they manage to recover an op even on 9-10. But they can't close it. They can't hit it. Even when he gets several opportunities at getting a shot, like there's that one round where Apex is pushing in through library. And yeah, sure, Apex is jumping. He's very difficult to hit there. You can hit it, but he shoots twice at Apex, like jumping across the library. And for each miss, Apex just gets closer and manages to scale until he ends up at Modo. And that's the shot 9-10 has to hit. It's a 2-on-2. I don't know if they knew, but they should have anticipated that FlameZ might be flanking around brackets. You've got a player inside the site. Like, Senzu has a good opportunity to win that from like backside on it, but Apex just gets closer. That is the one that I feel is a setter for 9-10, because it's a pretty damn easy shot when somebody's just dry swinging moto and you're sitting in the bomb site and you're the one with the advantage because you're the one who could be pretty much anywhere. You know exactly where he is. He's on moto. That's the one you got to hit. And like he's got the wrong pre-aim and he doesn't adjust. It's like he's shooting at his feet. Doesn't make any sense. And Apex then just cleans up Sensu because what's he gonna do there? So those sort of rounds is like that could have been a 6x half. I feel like I definitely feel like it could have been that if you had maybe 4 such opportunities, 3 or 4 across the map. If you just hit 1 or 2 of them. I think we're talking double digits for Mongolz. So that didn't feel particularly good. But yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. And yeah, fair play to Vitality. They play excellent. Like there's a couple of rounds as well where Mongolz were finally trying something which felt like it worked. There's that time Techno pushed the smoke on Banana and manages to get a frag on Apex.
Of course, traded back.
Yeah, of course, traded back because Flamesy up there. That's good. Even when Mongolz finally managed to find something like, oh, open arm Banana. Excellent. We haven't won Banana all game. They've been fighting it for most of the T side. They were fighting Banana really hard, but they just couldn't get a foothold. And they make it happen. They finally make something work. Immediately it's traded back, and then I don't think they close that round out. But yeah.
The one problem I have with the Techno smoke push top Banana is it's such a read that when you're playing out a map control scenario, Techno's walking a smoke. And it's been such a problem for him in the past where he's taken cheap deaths on it. And he took a cheap death on it in this map too, because both Apex and FlameZ just spammed the fuck out of the top Banana smoke during one of the early gun rounds and just killed him for free. Without even seeing him. The general game plan surrounding Banana just wasn't there as well for Mongolz, because if they weren't getting like fights and kills in there, eventually when they'd actually mount up to the top, they would just get bombed to fuck. Like they were getting wrecked by HEs, and they were always entering the bomb site with players who were at their healthiest at 75 HP, but a lot of them far below it. They were getting peppered. So the pacing, the scaling, just not working for Mongolz on that T side. They had far more success towards A. That's why we end up seeing those closer rounds, those conversational rounds where we're like, oh, maybe, 9-10 hits these shots. They're often towards A. The B side of things just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, no. No, absolutely not. So congratulations, Vitality, for playing an excellent final and a very deserved major win. More so than Paris.
Yeah, and we have to also say a pretty great performance all round on that grand final. Like, we gave ZywOo full credit for the Mouse series.
Yeah. This
grand final series was about everyone else, pretty much. Like, he's got a really great Dust too. That's impressive. But Inferno Mirage, underwhelming from ZywOo. That was a great disappointment.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at. We saw the strength of this roster. It's not just they have a superstar and a decent calling game around it. They have a bunch of fraggers, and they can activate in a variety of different ways. So, yeah, Vitality look almost unbeatable. And we will be talking about on future episodes. Next week, no episode. I am on holiday. But the week after that, we will be talking about this team and how they could potentially be beaten, who's making what moves to try and challenge them. That's going to be a real question coming forward. Like, going forward, are we going to see a repeat season? Like, can we have back-to-back seasons like this? Is it even possible? And are we... Just a side note, are we really saying they can't have an era until they win a second major? I've seen that point put forward. I've seen people respond to my tweets talking about how it's non-era. Do we need more than 7 straight events and every prestige win in a season to call a team an era? Do we actually need more now? Have we gone so far the other way that we require that level from an era team? Because they are untouchable for 6 months, pretty much.
The SK had a debatable era without winning a single major.
Well, they had back-to-back majors before that, and that's why...
they had it before that, but
they didn't actually win all the events surrounding the majors. Like, they won the 2 majors, they won a few others, some big ones, but it wasn't the same. Do we really need more than this? 7 straight. They've dropped 1 best of 1 since losing to Eternal Fire, now Aurora, in January.
Yeah.
Do we need more?
Do we need more?
The history book for me already says Vitality era. Like, how can you call it anything else? This isn't the spring season of 2025. This is Vitality 2025 and footnotes. That for me is an era.
Yeah. I think we're gonna realize we're in the era long after we've actually entered it. I think collectively. Long
Speak for
after.
yourselves.
I mean, like
what the fuck?
I mean, yeah, but I think collectively we're not gonna start talking about the Vitality era until we're well and truly inside it. But I'm gonna say that prior to this major win, I would have been skeptical. If this had been a phase major, then I probably would have said no, absolutely not. This is the same. If this is an era, Liquid had an era. Like, I probably would have said that.
Different quality of events being played by Liquid, but that's not the point.
Absolutely, but I still probably would have said that. I still probably would have thought that this is a very good season, but you've got to win the major. And
I have historically made that case as well, but yeah, they did. So look, why are we having the conversation?
What if they don't win an event in the fall season? Is it still an era? Is the spring season of 2025 still a Vitality era, or is it just a good season? What does the word mean?
It's about historical dominance and historical significance, and that's what they did for 6 months. Like 6 months straight, not beaten, pretty much. Like near enough undefeated for 6 months. Like, are we gonna really say, oh, because it's only 6 months of literally untouchable Counter-Strike?
I mean, yeah, but is it just the best season anybody's ever had, or is it an era? For me, era is longer than 6 months. And it doesn't even have to be this dominant. Like, I don't know. Again,
okay,
I'm going to look...
Let's put it this way. Okay, the rest of the year, they finished top 4, average out the entire year.
Are there wins included there?
7 big event wins. No. The rest of the year, they're only top 4. They finish semi-final every other event. They still, for this season, just this season, will have had 7 big event wins, including Katowice and the Major. That's better than most number 1 teams for the last half decade. Maybe
further
more.
Caveat, even if they go top 4, further caveat, is it one other team dominating the fall season, or is it several? Because if we start entering a season where Falcons are the clear number 1 and they win 5 big events in the fall season, then I'm not ready to call 2025 a Vitality era. I'm ready to call them Team of the Year. I'm ready to do that. I'm not sure I'm ready to put them up with Prime Astralis. I'm not sure I'm ready to put them up with Prime Fnatic on that. Because I'm not even ready to put Prime Navi. Navi had a similarly dominant season. It's not the same in terms of win streaks, but they definitely had an amazing season in 2021. And I'm not ready to call that an era. It's too short.
Okay, classic L take, but it's fine. We'll move on.
I'll be ready when it's... Look, era is such a big word. There's a reason I don't think we've had an era since 2019. That's 6 years ago without an era. And well, we've had eras, but like a team era. That's like this. For me, the word is just bigger than that. But it's an amazing season, and I don't really have it deserves a different word. It deserves a different word, and I think the word is just that this is the greatest season of all time.
Sure, why not? Let's move on to our small site retakes, because y'all are taking a fat L on this one, right? I'm going to open things up.
French man, by the way. French man.
Don't care. Y'all are wrong.
Oh.
Y'all are literally wrong. But it's cool. Right. NAVI Junior. We talked about them briefly in terms of who we're promoting to NAVI, but they win again. And again is the important part, because they just keep on winning. This time, CCT Season 3. Going through, honestly, it's not like hot knife through butter quite, but they got invited direct to playoffs. They faced some pretty weak teams on the way to the final. They got gifted Marius immediately, who are an up-and-coming Kazakh team, but not there yet. Beat Iberian Soul, which was closer than it should have been. Stomped 500. No Mirage played. And then that grand final, they play against NIP, who's actually, a team worthy of a final of this kind of event. You know what I mean? It's just tier 2, the kind of you want to see the best of tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
NIP are just kind of stuck there for now. But they faced them 2-1. Ancient and Anubis, not even close, the second two maps. And of course, top performing in that match is Mongolz, the player we keep talking about. It is a great run from them as a team. Like, they play 4 straight series. They drop 2 maps. Everyone fragging. Like, if you look through the numbers, like, Mongolz's fragging, Demon's fragging. Even as far down the list, like, Jigs, I think, is having a good series in the final. The only player who doesn't put up insane numbers is Simtree. Whatever, fine. The Rifler's absolutely banging everyone out. Crabini, as usual, leading the way with some good calls and a decent amount of fragging. This is the way. NAVI Junior, still the future. If NAVI don't make the promotions, we keep talking about it. It just has to happen. Someone's got to pick up this team. They're 27th on Valve ranking. I think that's before this event gets factored in. Let me check the VRS details on this one.
Could be.
No, it's post this event. They're now up to 27th.
Yeah.
They're 27th. They are well within legit invite range. Like, then they're not a team to be stuck in an academy, really, for any longer. I want to see at least a couple players promoted, if not the entire roster picked up. They have been so strong. I don't see why Na'Vi wouldn't take the risk. I don't see why someone wouldn't be willing to throw a couple million at them just to buy them.
Yeah. Look, in terms of history for this event series, it's quite brief. We've only had it for about 3 years, and it was very weird at the start. The first season they did, where they had split everything into Central Europe, East Europe, North Europe, and South Europe, and West Europe. None of which meant anything because you had
loads of teams just overlapping, right? It was more about the qualifier that came before the actual series, it seemed. Like, that's what mattered more. It was weird.
I'll tell you, Monty won West Europe and then also came second in South Europe, and this wasn't at the same time, but it was roughly the same time span. And then Aurora won South Europe and also came second in North Europe, and Gamer Legion were in both West and North, and Spirit Academy were in West at one point. But honestly, if I'm being fully honest, that makes no sense. Like, if there's any one of these, you cannot put a fully Russian Academy team in. It's West Europe. But yeah, right. Anyway, that makes no sense. What I was trying to look at is Navi they've now won back-to-back CCT seasons.
Yep.
And we haven't had a lot of that. We've had a couple of teams, like, ignoring these season ones, because look, winning back-to-back here is, I'm not going to say it wasn't difficult, but when you're playing 3 of them at the same time, of course you're going to win a couple of them in roughly the same time span. But you're still looking at good teams. You're looking at teams like Monty with STY and Boros and Waro. That's really good. You're still looking at, like, Copenhagen Flames with Bird from Sky and Regali. That was an extremely good team early on when they formed there in the fall of 2022. They were winning everything, like 5 out of 6 events they played, I think. But since, other than that, you're only talking about 2 other teams in relatively recent history who have done that back in terms of back-to-back CCT wins, and it's Sangul, which are currently like the Heroic Core, like most recent Heroic Core. They did it when they were coming up in the mid part of last year, and it's Spirit Academy with Kyosuke, Falcons Bound, and now Navi Junior. Like, it's a very solid, capable tier of teams. So
yeah, I think something that's significant. I just did the maths. According to Wikipedia, in 2025, this team has prize earnings of $158,000.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous.
2025?
2025 only. They have made $158,000 between winning Yala Compass Qatar, CCT Series 2, CCT Series 3. That's the majority of the bulk. Then on top of that, Thunderpick World Champions European Series, and a couple other decent placements at CCTs and other things to add a little pocket change. Comes up to $158.5 thousand.
Yeah.
Stupid
amount of money. And you could probably, it's definitely worth considering all of these players, if not the entire team, if you are looking to do good in Counter-Strike. And that's just great to see. Good stuff from them. Definitely 5 for the future. instead of one for the future. It's definitely a lot of stuff here to go. A lot of stuff here they can do with this kind of team. And yeah, the NIP win as well. NIP are, I think, solidly in the tier 1 range at the moment. They have some struggles and they have to play these online events because they're not really up there, but they've been to tier 1 events and they did a respectable amount of damage when they were there in Astana, making the playoffs, of course. So it's big respect for Navi Junior to be able to take that, and that's solid, very solid. I hope we get to see them in a better tier of play, even if it's not all of them, even if it's just a couple of them. I hope we get to see something. And if it's not the Navi main team, as you said, somebody's got to look at them. And yeah,
if they don't go to the main team, they 100%, have to be sold off to someone, because we cannot be locking this team up in a contract gulag forever.
No.
Let's be clear. They need to go somewhere.
Right. Mine is a very small retake. It's just something which I've been noticing in this past week or two or so. Actually, a couple of weeks, but this is a good time to talk about it. HLTV have really upgraded their website. Like, there's a lot of fun stuff to do on HLTV these days. So just for one, something which felt obvious to me is they now have a big banner for when there are big games about to happen or big games are happening. So like the major final, that was like the banner for the Blast event, for the Blast Major, on the front page. That's just like, wow, okay. I know you have today's matches, and that's where you go to look, but in more detail, they have more information. That's really cool. That's just a small thing. They have all of the VRS things, like you can see predicted VRS for predicted VRS invites for future tier 1 events. So for example, Fisher Playground, $1 million event held in the middle of July. They haven't issued their invites yet. I think there's going to be an official VRS update either today, like tonight, or on Wednesday. Valve seems to like Wednesdays for some reason. And that VRS ranking is going to be the basis for this event. But you can already see what the predicted invited teams for this event are going to be by going to the event page and clicking show predicted teams. And you can see exactly who it's going to be. So it's probably going to be, this is who gets invited. It doesn't, obviously we don't know. HLTV doesn't know who's going to accept the invite, but there's you can basically get a feel for, okay, Heroic are solidly within the range. They're probably going to play this event because they're going to get the opportunity. You can see the same thing on the ranking page. Like you can see complete ranking, go to VRS invites, and you can go check, well, even as far as like the Budapest Major, who's going to be there. Well, at this moment, Legacy are going to be number 11 at that point with how the decay shakes out. That's obviously saying, there's going to be other results, but at this point, you have stuff like Ecstatic and Fnatic making the major, because that's how the decay is going to work out. That's a bit inaccurate.
Yeah, but something funny is that Blast Bounty. Look at who's being predicted invites. 2 teams currently ranked lower than Navi Junior.
Yep.
This is what I'm talking about. That's the value right there.
Great opportunity for TNL. All right, yeah. So you can see when it's going to be issued. You can see when that ranking update is going to come out, and everything, yada, yada, yada. Great. Amazing. Good job. But the most fun part is, of course, the timeline game. Have you played the timeline game?
I've played it like once or twice, I think. It feels like
I played every day.
Though,
it's so fun.
So I stopped.
No, I love it. I love stuff like this. That's why I do Wordle and connections and all of it every day. And this is just the same with that. You basically you get a bunch of events, like a bunch of things that have happened in Counter-Strike, and you have to arrange them in the correct order. So if you haven't done today, I'm gonna ask you about these ones, because I've already played it, but I'm gonna see if you can do it. All right. So number 1, Rain becomes a major MVP at 27.
That's 2022.
Dupree wins the major just weeks after his father passed away.
2019.
Kenny S becomes a major MVP.
2016.
Giuliano
15.
beats Cadian in a 1v1.
That might be 2016.
And Simple wins Player of the Year for a second time.
Okay, the earliest I think is Kenny S, major MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Then Giuliano beating Cadian. Simple for the second time, and Dupree winning the major is the part where I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to go Dupree wins the major, then Simple, and finally Rain becomes major MVP.
That is all correct. Yeah, that's exactly it. So that would have been 5 out of 5. A lot of the time you get 5 out of 5. I do feel like some of them are easier than others. There's a couple which have been sort of curveballs. I actually got this wrong because it was completely stupid on the simple one because obviously it was going to be after the 2021 season. But sorry, fuck, we have just spoiled this game for anybody who wanted to play this. I have just realized. But if you haven't already,
it's 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock. It comes out at midnight, Cest. So yeah, this is one which threw me off, which was Olofmeister and Guardian join phase, and via Adamo sign added to reworked Inferno in honor of Freiburg. So that actually threw me off because I was like, okay, Boston Major Final, was that on the like newish Inferno or old Inferno? And for some reason, the memories I have were from the old Inferno, which is obviously wrong. So that was dumb. There's another one which I thought was like they've thrown some really fun ones in here, like Furlan and Groovy Danger Zone show match. Win is immortalized in game. Like that's what the fuck.
Yeah, that happened.
That happened in 2019 apparently, 3rd of March. But like I was like,
of all the things we got immortalized into the fucking game, that.
I vaguely remember it, and I thought it was kind of cool, but that one could have.
I didn't even know it happened. I looked like I give a shit about Danger Zone.
I think they played it in the Katowice show match. They played Danger Zone because it was Furlan and Groovy as well in Poland. So, and Danger Zone was kind of new, and it was like a big thing. Battle Royales were big. They're starting to get big at that point. So yeah. Anyway, that's a really cool thing. You should go play it. You should check out all the other stuff. I think that I can't remember everything, but there's also stuff on the stats pages. Like, here's a fun one which I actually haven't seen mentioned whatsoever. If you go to a retired players player page, the stats section is different and you get to see each and every career year and how they did. Dope. That is pretty dope. So if you go to Fifi's page, you can see 2014 210 maps 0.85, 2013 263 0.99, etc. And you can, you can see this for everybody. Yeah, that's Fifi. Yeah.
Bro's playing on like a top team.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go to Dupree. Dupree retired yesterday, actually. Officially retired yesterday. And you can scroll through all of his years. Which was his best year? Oh, by rating, his best year was 2018. 0.117 or 1.17 in 258 maps. It's just a cooler thing. You can see his best. Actually, the even cooler one is the best matches one. Because there you can see.
That's pretty dope. You can see the player highlights.
Yeah.
We talked about this. Who was I talking about this with? I think it was. I don't remember now. It might have been you, it might have been Yumi. I forget which conversations I've had over the last 4 days. It was about. I think it must have been you. I was talking about XMS. No, I think it was Yumi.
It was Yumi, but we could have like we've been talking Streets players and XMS.
That was entirely the conversation we were having, and I was looking at XMS's profile page, and he doesn't really have the run, I think, to count, but he does have like a map we all know. The worst part is that overpass map where he hits that highlight. He's not even the highest rated on his team.
Nope.
Overshadowed by RPK.
That XMS highlight is still, in my opinion, the best Counter-Strike clip.
It's so goated. It's one of those goated highlights ever, but that's not even he's not even the highest rate on the team. That's mad.
No, it's mad. If you don't know the clip, it's got to be 2017 or 2018. He shoots 5 AK bullets with 5 headshots, and that's his ace.
No, it's not
as I recall.
So it's the Deagle thrown in as well.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but he shoots 5 bullets is the point. I think maybe there's a stray 6th bullet somewhere there in the final frag, if I recall correctly. But it is the clip, and in my opinion, like I said, that's the best clip. It's not nowhere near the most culturally significant. It's an overpass map, like you say. It's not even the best player on the team. They're not even playing
his
anybody
highest rated map
particularly
isn't
good.
even that map. His highest rated map is an SK game, but where RPK drops like a 2.4.
Yeah.
So it's not even his best map, but like his that ace. A ridiculous highlight, but such
very much forgotten. Like when you watch compilations for the best Counter-Strike clips, that one doesn't even show up a lot of the time. But in my opinion, purely gameplay-wise, it's the best clip. It's the best clip. It's Hall of Fame.
Goated.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, where were we? All right, yeah, okay. Let's
Sorry,
move
I'm
on
just
to-
gonna go watch that clip. Be right back.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for it. Was it maybe?
I think it's against Team Kingwin, is I believe the team you're looking for.
Yes, 16-13.
Yeah. I'm just kind of watching it because the observer doesn't get the first couple 1-digs, and then immediately he misses a Molotov. Love it. Love it. XMS the GOAT. And then makes the rest of the play happen with an AK, but yeah.
Is it also a clutch?
Filthy. Yeah, it ends in a 1v3.
It's insane. Look, they haven't even, like, the nuance of it is just firing the one bullet. That's the nuance of it. Like, it's just one bullet per frag, which is the most insane part to me.
Oh,
do you know what's even
insane?
Oh yeah, he gets a 2 quick 1-digs. I'm watching it now. Gets the AK. Do you know honestly the craziest thing about this? He misses a molly.
Yeah, he misses the molly. It's crazy. He's actually low key not that good a player.
Absolutely sells happy there by boosting up as well.
The fourth kill. Yeah, XMS, this is when an era when Envious were going through some roster struggles, let's put it politely, after having lost Kenny to the G2 roster with Shocks.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they're already having roster struggles before then, trying to find, like, suitable French players to fill in. Like, players like Devil had been playing on the team, and he was just horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it's like...
Yeah, no, there's not a bullet wasted.
It's not even...
There's not a bullet wasted.
Not a bullet
even
wasted,
on the last
no.
kill. It's a thing of beauty, but from the most obscure place.
It's probably the best headshot clip anybody's ever gotten, and the crazy thing is Scream is also on the server. Like, he's also there. Like, he's watching his teammate beat him in so game. Oh Jesus, no, yeah, and then you have, like, it's not even, if you want to see this, it's a game at the Europe Minor for PGL Krakow Major. They're down 9-10, and it's a game between Envy and Kingwin on Overpass. Yeah. And he dies in the molly as well. Like, it's just such. It's the wildest clip. It's the wildest clip.
I remember watching it live, just losing my shit. Like, XMS of all people is putting up the most god tier highlight I've ever seen in the most unimportant match.
Yeah. I'll give you, while we're talking about HLTV features, I'll give you a feature request, which is probably on their backlog. If you go to a player's page, there should be a little tab which just says highlights, because they do keep match highlights on pretty much every game, or at least every relatively high tier game. But even as low tier as minors apparently get several Twitch clips, which are worth looking at. And just make them searchable, so you can just go to XMS and see find the one tap ace there.
Yeah, because I had to find it using the very new multi-kills feature.
That's also true. It wasn't even mentioned.
You didn't mention it, but the multi-kills feature for me is pretty dope. Like, it helps me. Like, I would have loved this a while ago when I was trying to make highlight montages for Prospects episode. Yeah. Like, trying to find a demo where players played well is one thing, but I want to just make a frag movie. I need quad kills. I need fast triples. I need something. And a player can have a great rating without a great highlight. So that'd have been pretty dope back then.
Yep. But this is really good. This is really good. So we can actually see Zaibu had 4 2Ks on Dust 2 against Mongolz yesterday. At a glance, this is excellent. HLTV is the best stats database that has ever existed, and it's gotten a lot better this year entirely. So that's just the big shout out. Anyway,
shout out Basketball Reference and other sports reference pages. You're still dope. We love you. Or I do. Don't let him blaspheme. I still use you every day.
Well, yeah. I'll still say HLTV. Please give me rating 3.0. I want to see.
Yeah. I think it's time for the best segment. The new segment.
Yep.
When Quack does his job, this segment is amazing. So we are now moving into the famed Cock of the Week.
Yeah, and today it's a cock bonanza, because for once, sometimes I don't pick a cock because I cannot find one. I'm vigorously looking for a cock the entire week, and I can't find one. And when you've all been very well behaved. But
the jokes about Sweden write themselves. I'm just throwing that out.
Today, I have found a bukkake of cocks, because I am bringing with you the entire Counter-Strike Elitist Twitter group in this major playoffs season. All of you are so phallic. Like, all of you are so cocky in this group, not in the regular sense. This group is the dumbest Counter-Strike community, I think, which is crazy to say because everything Launders posts in there is great. It's good analysis. It's even greater when he disagrees with people in his own Twitter group. But it's so dumb, and it's just, oh my god. Okay, so I'm gonna go through a couple here. So we're gonna start pretty light. Somebody with over 100,000 views, 2.2k likes. If you watch CS with no bias to the ZywOo PR, you would understand this guy is the MVP of this major, no doubt. He's so underrated. Can you guess who the picture is of?
Is it a Mongolz player?
No, it's a Vitality player.
Is it Apex?
No, it's Mezzi. He thinks Mezzi is the MVP of the major. Easily, I can stretch to him being the MVP of the final because he did play really good there.
Sure.
But not the major. Like, what the hell? But we're starting light. That's not the most outrageous take on here.
I mean, that sounds like some meme shit. That sounds like meme shit. I cannot be sincere.
Next post. I'll give you the names. This guy's name is Jack. This next name is Dreamcatcher. We've got about 150 likes on this one. Vitality, 2 major wins. Number 1, plagued with tier 3 teams during playoffs. Number 2, needed a literal super team and still made it look competitive for other teams. Fraudality, watch them fall off after all the roster moves made during the player break.
I mean, okay, again, pure bait. Like, there is no way. That cannot be a genuine opinion. Because, no, they didn't make it look competitive along the way. Every map they won in the playoff games that were BO3s, like 3 mappers, they smashed the other team. Like, they lost a map pick to Mongols, then obliterated them. Like, this is not a fraud watch team.
This is not a fraud. It's also funny to call them a super team, as in...
I mean, they're in a way a super team, but, like, they're not really the way they assembled. Sure, they took a star from another team, so in that sense, you can call them a bit of a super team. But realistically, they took a star who's just really, really strong in a certain context and made it work because they have a great balance of roles. It's not really just the way we traditionally think about super team, just mashing star players together.
Yeah. And also, Flamesy and Messi and ZywOo, in terms of when they got signed to Vitality, are very much, I'd say, scoutings. Like, look, we all knew Messi and Flamesy were talented. Yeah, they picked Messi and Flamesy out of like the 15 to 20 range at most. I don't think either of them were ranked much higher at that point when they were on Fnatic or on OG. So excellent, and yeah, that's very good. Yeah, look. I won't go deeper into that. We have an ex-cock. This one is from Amigo Enemigo. Reminder, the gap between number 1 and number 2 in HLTV has never been bigger. Spirit and FaZe were the only ones with skill ceilings high enough to contest Vitality, and they fucked up real bad. Vitality's fault? No. Doesn't change the fact it's the easiest run possible now. This playoff run is Mickey.
Well, I guess they did beat the mouse, so yeah.
Yeah. This is excellent. You got ratioed by Launders on this post, which is really funny. It just says, "What are you even talking about?" as the first sentence, and then there's a bunch more, and then he replies with, "I don't think you know what ceiling means," which is funny. Like, to say to an established member of the tier 1 analysis community. Anyway, next one, Natural Born Killer. This is in response to somebody saying that Apex is making a great case as GOAT IGL. And he says he's basically comparing it. Yeah, he's comparing him to Kerrigan in that debate. This guy replies with, Kerrigan has longevity, sure, but he was never clear best IGL at any point in his career. His best IGL year was 2022, and he was outshadowed by James, same year, who won a major with the worst team in history, brackets Kickert and Norbert, by the way. That's insane. It's insane to even make the argument that the better IGL than Kerrigan in 2022 was James. And yeah, he's probably a person on the forums, but look, it might be rage bait. At this point, I can't tell. I cannot tell because there's so much of this, and there's so much of it everywhere. Here's once again somebody saying that like they're taking the rating from like ZywOo's Inferno rating against Mouse with a 162 and a 413 loss. And he says, never compare Somple with ZywOo again, which I do think is really funny. Like, it's a good map from Zaiwu, but they lost 4-13. Like, and he's saying Simple could never do this. He could never have a good
Yeah,
rating on a
Simple could
losing map.
never absolutely bang a team out and still lose. I mean, that's never
Yeah.
happened. Clearly, just some fucking nephew, as we should put it. Like, just some nephew. It's okay. Sit down, little boy. Put your phone away.
Yep.
You're in class.
Natural Born Killer, the second person ever to make double appearances on Cock of the Week. Again, against Kerrigan. This Kerrigan motherfucker is shameless, crying about firepower as if FaZe signed Tag to replace Robs. Mind you, they signed 2024's top 3 impact and KPR player. You're literally at fault for making him look bad. Referring to Elish, of course.
Yeah. Completely different tangent at this point. Now talking about modern Kerrigan compared to Kerrigan who won a major with Brokey. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't really. I can't take these people seriously. Like, at least when I'm arguing with you, I know there's a point. Your brain functions at times. These people clearly just have nothing between the ears. Like, literally nothing.
Yeah, and that's about it. Yeah. There's very few level-headed takes in this group. It didn't take a lot of scrolling to find this. So that's my cock bonanza for today. And it might all be rage bait. Maybe all of it is rage bait.
Well, that's the problem. As soon as people start getting called out for how shit their opinions are, HLTV forums, all of a sudden none of it was ever serious. And I didn't mean it. I was just trolling.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the fucking mask and the crying, like, behind it thing. It's always the same bullshit with online communities. Like, it's never real as soon as they get called out for being idiots. So no, I can't be bothered with this kind of shit. And this is why I'm very happy to use my Twitter in a very limited scope. Like, I follow certain people, very few people. I tweet occasionally. I don't look at this kind of like community because it's essentially a forum. I've got enough of those to look at if I want terrible takes. Like, I'm good.
But that's why we have the segment. So you get a window into this world.
Yeah. So you can take a look for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Aslim, I'm sure that's what Yimfat says. But anyway, should we get into the Eternal Shuffle?
Yeah, let's go.
It's time to shuffle it up. Let me know what's going on. What am I rating? Oh my god, my lower thirds are all over the shop today. Literally.
Got a lot of stuff happening. So we got a couple of moves confirmed that we knew were already happening, along with some rumors. And these first ones are mostly in connection to Heroic.
Okay.
So Sunpais and Saw are out, and they're going to G2. Xfloud was also benched, amid reports that Grix is coming in, Tobis is coming in as the coach, and Nilo is being brought back from the bench.
All right. Okay. I kind of like Tobis. It's an interesting pull, but when you're trying to replace Saw, it's never going to be easy, right? But I think Tobis, not necessarily recently, because recently Mouse NXT have had a bit of a struggle in terms of finding the right players, but overall has done a great job developing players and getting the most out of players in Mouse NXT. He deserves a lot of credit for that. I think he's a good risk to take. You know, he's a relatively young guy as well, only 30. As a coach, matches maybe a bit better the energy of this team, hopefully, rather than taking some ex-pros 37 and won 3 majors, you know. I think it's an astute signing. Grix, obviously, I'm a huge fan of. I've said it 100 times. I like his play. I mean, we've watched some sus demos before on stream of his where he's a bit shaky, but overall, he's got the talent to be a tier 1 AWPer, and a really strong one at that. So I'm a big fan of that part. The part that confuses me a bit is the Nilo balance. Because we're bringing him in the place of Xfloud. Xfloud, as we've said 100 times before, plays very high impact roles, takes a lot of very aggressive fights. Is going to be your openings machine, like constantly churning out those tough engagements. Nilo doesn't feel like a player who can slip into that position. Neither does Tanir. Both of them, like the reason Tanir was such a great ad back when Nilo gets benched, or benched himself, or whatever exactly the thing we're going to call it is, Tanir made a lot of the same sort of plays, played a lot of the same positions as Nilo. He just played them in a more aim-dependent way. Like, he was less about completely outmaneuvering you and more about also just kind of being there and banging your fucking head off. That's what made Tanir so interesting to me. He was a slightly different player to Nilo, but still a very impactful one. both of these guys are going to be more on the lurk side and the trade side of the game. This means we need to fill in an aggressive position. Either one of these guys, for my money, Tane would be better at it, but still doesn't feel great, takes those X-Cloud spots, or we talk about like maybe switching up youngsters' priorities and positions and responsibilities, making him essentially more of a star. He's shown us a decent level in terms of going out hitting shots before. He could do it again, and then basically one of those two guys, probably Nilo, ends up almost filling in the supportive elements that Youngster was doing, T side especially, but on both sides.
Yeah,
I guess it can be figured out. I'm not very, I'm not convinced by this combination of moves. Just that one aspect in terms of the X-Cloud removal.
Yeah, I think Youngster would be very comfortable taking a lot more openings. He's definitely played a much more forward style prior to being in this core. It's a long time ago. It's a like domestic Norwegian opposition, but he's definitely been in these positions before. He's played a lot of different stuff actually. But he definitely could have been very comfortable doing this sort of gameplay. And definitely could be comfortable moving into those positions. I'm not sure he will be. Because I could see that this might be a complete tactical changeup in terms of they want different priorities. They want to play in a different way. I'm not sure, but let's wait and see. There was a report, the original report from Sheep Esports, very reliable source. A lot of the times when I see Sheep Esports come up, people are like, "Who the fuck are Sheep Esports?" And
they're usually
it's like
very good.
Yeah, the guy, and I can never say his name, Anonymotum. He leaks a lot of. He's an investigative reporter. He's got some experience. He's mostly in League and Valorant, but he's also in CS. All of his reports have hit. Like, he's not a leaker. He's not somebody who hears a rumor and posts for engagement.
He's not in one Telegram channel and just spouts everything he hears. Yeah.
He's a reporter who he finds reliable sources and he finds reliable information. He did say that sources say his performances in internal scrims and practice have been consistently strong, and his integration into the team structure has been smoother than expected, accelerating the timeline for his competitive debut. What I've heard is maybe this isn't true. Maybe that isn't true, that maybe not everybody in the team agrees that it's been smooth, but let's just... I don't know about that. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens for sure. Yeah, I like the move. There's a lot of talent here. I think Grix is as a signing is somebody I definitely agree with. I've said before that as soon as Gamer Legion were rumored not to be getting Grix, like I'm like my strongest expectation was that Grix is going to go to everybody because there's no other way he doesn't end up on one of those two teams. So I don't know how long it's been in the pipeline, but I'm happy he's going to end up there. The Tinea connection is obvious. We're going to get a majority Swedish team, which is nice for me. They're also going to be able to play, actually, like, added benefit of going for the Swedish core. This is not just like a biased thing, but an added benefit is you get the right to play in Swedish. You get invited to Swedish, what we call Svenska CS-ligan, which is produced by Fragbite, and Svenska Cupen, which is produced by Fragbite. Both of those events are, the former is a qualifier for the Eliza Nordic Championship, which Heroic couldn't participate in this year because they didn't have a majority, which was Swedish, Danish, Finnish, or Norwegian. Next season, they're going to be able to, because they're going to be able to get that invite. They're going to be able to play a couple of online games against the likes of Medisport and Alliance, etc. Hopefully make it to that LAN event, which, if I recall correctly, it was a $100,000 prize pool. That's big for VRS. And also Svenska Cupen, that's a $250,000 event, I think. And that's a huge LAN event, which NIP have gone to pretty much at any point where NIP have been able to go there by having 3 Swedish players. They've even made stand-in adjustments in able to go there because it's absolutely worth it to do it. And I absolutely hope they do it as well. Sorry, it's a $50,000 event, but still, it's a big LAN event. So that's actually a big benefit for them because that's like, I'll say free invites. They are going to be the top Swedish team if this move happens, which it seems like it's going to do. So yeah, that's actually a big factor there, I think. So yeah, solid. Anyway, next one is actually a rumor, which I've heard. I don't have a source for this. I think it's a lot of might be Overdrive, might be a roomie, might be whoever the hell. Spirit are maybe looking to make a change. And the people on this shortlist are reportedly Mayonnaise, Zwei, Resalt, and Mokujin. But
Yeah.
how do you feel about those 4?
So firstly, I'm not a big fan of Result. Not overall. I think he's got some talent, but I just think he's not the right player. Because he's been a bit. He's had some issues for me in terms of watching him play. A lot of his CT spots, especially, he's just too combative, and
Yep.
I don't think it makes sense to bring in. And also, I need to know who he's coming in for, but I'm going to make the bold assumption that they're not replacing Zontix. I think this is a Magic's change.
That is actually a bold assumption.
Very bold, but I don't give a fuck. He's been terrible, and has been terrible all season. And he occasionally has flashes at the major where, the team stomps some people, and he actually shoots a couple enemies. And like, oh my god, combined with a 0.5 DPR because he didn't have to do anything, his rating looks good. But overall, he's just not been very good. So
I see what you mean, yeah.
I do think it's going to be a Magic's cut. I don't like Result for that. I think my top of my shortlist is Zwei, and Mokujin. I think both are pretty great additions to at least take a chance on. Mokujin, you're taking a bit of a risk, I think, in terms of, he's not been the biggest name on this academy side, but I think he's been really solid, like low key, been really sharp and really impressive. But then Zwei is just so good. So damn good. He's a slam dunk if you can get him in. And he's got potential to grow. So I would 100% make that move like that. I'd even bring him in for Zontix. Like, I'm happy. Just bring Zwei in if you can. That's an incredible move.
Yeah, he is a really good player, and I feel like it's almost a little bit in the Russian shuffle, which might be happening in that case. Whoever ends up with Zwei wins. I feel like I don't think there's a better move you can make in the Russian market right now than signing Zwei. So somebody's got to pick him up. If Namigi can retain him, I guess that's good for them. But they're not gonna use it to the same degree that a VP or a Spirit could do. But he is so good that it's hard not to think about that. I really like the potential of his Zwei signing. I'm trying to find where the hell are Spirit Academy and Nero's positions database. Who they might come in for is what I'm looking for. This is amazing podcasting work. No, okay, I can't find them. Well, we're just gonna do the ones we have. Where does Mokujin fit into it all?
He can play a number of roles.
Yeah. All right, so positionally, on Ancient, both Zwei and Marines would come in for Zontex. On Anubis, it would be Magix. On a Dust 2, it would probably be Zontex. They don't play Inferno. Mirage, it's neither actually. They don't have overlap with either one. And then it's probably on Magix for Nuke. So it's very much 50-50. It looks like a Magix change, but they're gonna have to move a lot either way. My NES is one of the ones that I have quite highly, but I don't think it's gonna be able to happen because what I've also heard, and I don't know the source on this whatsoever, is that both Zorti and Axile are gonna be out of Bet Boom, so they're gonna have to retain my NES in that case. Because Axile has been god awful. Axile is somebody who is gonna be a Streets Won't Forget player in future. Because he is gonna be forgotten. He's gonna be forgotten. He's gone.
In every conversation, somehow this topic now has to come up.
It's playing on my mind constantly. Exile, a top 5 player in the world, a top 2 rifler at one point, is gone. Game's gone. The football's left him. Like that's what we're talking about. He is gone. Leave the football before the football leaves you. All right. Anyway, let's. Yeah. All right. Result. I like Result, but I can see why he might not be a good fit here. He does seems volatile. Like he seems like he's not somebody who would fit very well into this. He seems a little bit ragey, if I can say that. Like he seems like a little bit like he's not the spirit personality you need. So yeah. I like Zwei for this. Anyway, let's move on. I absolutely don't know what's happening. I just wanted to mention it because I didn't think Spirit were making a change into the next season, but it looks like it might be. Anyway, amid financial trouble, Astralis have still signed Hooksy on a permanent contract.
A
as they're called.
plus.
Yep.
Good job. You did the obvious. Next.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very good move. We wanted this to happen, and let's see how that shakes out. They have received a Cologne invite, so they're going to be there in the first stage. In the first, I think this might be a Swiss stage. So we're going to see them in Cologne and see how they deliver. Chance for playoffs with Hooksy in there. If I'm fully honest with that, based on nothing. G2 have cut Taz. We obviously know Saw is coming in, but Taz is out. So from now on, there's no preparation for next year being done with the Polish coach. And this is an S move. I know it, right?
Which move? I'm sorry, I was very distracted.
Just cutting Taz. Just.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're cutting Taz and you're bringing in swords. It's the perfect move. It's literally the perfect move. You're maybe getting, at worst, the third best coach in the scene right now, in place of a guy who claps and says, let's go. Easy as fucking dub.
Yep. Amazing. Amazing. I'm just going to double check. Was it actually a Swiss stage? No, no. Okay, never mind. No, it wasn't. It's not a Swiss stage. It's a play in bracket. Sorry. Double A. Medisport have cut Hampus. So they're now down to just 3 players. And there might be more context on this actually later today, which is not going to be on the show, but Ludi is going to have Medisport visit his Twitch stream at 4. I did just read on Twitter, so to talk about what's going on in Medisport and what's going to happen in the future. So since his contract is ending soon, I'm assuming he might say some juicy stuff. But yeah, they're going to be down to 3 players. It's going to be Plopsky, Lumen, and Isak. And not much explanation has been given why Hampus is gone beyond the fact that you can just look at their season.
Yeah. Pretty mid. I'm gonna be honest. It's just a weird dish. A weird a weird fucking team, a weird move. Everything's just been weird about Medisport recently. But yeah, maybe they'll be good now.
Super strange because we're looking at callers now. So you have to look at callers. I've from as much as I know, nobody in Medisport knows what the fuck is gonna happen. Because who the hell are they gonna bring in? And who the hell is going to call? So Plopsky's called in the past. Like, he did take that IGL role for a while. Because the code, like Abdi did feel that, yeah, Plopsky, that you're going to be good at this. We've tried it out a bit and you're going to be good at this. You also have Lekro, who stood in for them at Glitch Masters. You have Shine. We're going to talk about him, but Shine got benched on Johnny Speeds. There's IGLs to pick from. But it feels weird. So, yeah, all right. I'm gonna move on. Anyway, Medisport need a top 20 level guy. Give JW a blank check. Can I just address this? Hang on. In what capacity do you want JW on Medisport? As an
obvious troll,
or as a
obvious troll? I'm sorry, I'm not even an obvious troll.
Is this a troll?
It's obvious.
Is this a troll?
It's so obvious.
Oh no!
So
all
obvious.
right. I fell for it. I'll give myself the fell for it award. All right. Number 1, falling for it. This is chocolate, by the way. I'm gonna eat this later. Anyway, Inner Circle. I've got 3 players. They've cut Oscar, Fessor, and QQ.
This team is a waste of my time. It's a waste of every player playing on its time. Disband.
Yeah, they're trying to make something happen. Yeah. I'm assuming they're going to pick up a core because they've had a lot of struggles getting onto the VRS. That's why they're fine making this triple move. They're top 100 on HLTV, but that's very few games. They're basically an advanced level team. So I'm assuming... Let's just think about this super quickly. If they pick up an Opper and they lost their IGL... No, sorry, Stiko was calling. Or was QQ? I don't even know. Anyway... I think Stiko might have been calling. So they lost 2 riflers and an Opper. Do you think they could be picking up NAVI Academy?
With what money?
I don't know how much money they
Where's
have.
this money going to come from? This team is not a 5-figure buyout. I think It's 6-7. Like, are we kidding ourselves? This is not going to be
Alright.
affordable for a fake or whatever kind of org this is. Like,
Yep.
not
All
happening.
right. Nope. Yep. Let's see what happens. 3D Max have cut their coach Wazink, or he's left, or whatever. He's not there
Yeah,
anymore.
not sure what's
Anyway.
happened exactly, but he's gone. It's a shame. I liked the 3 Max project, and I thought Wazink was a part of that. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought he was doing a decent job, but hey, maybe they want to change things up. They want to shake up. Maybe they think they can do better. I don't think they can, but it is what it is. Maybe Wazink wanted a different challenge. I hope it's that.
I hope it's that. I would think they might be looking at. If I'm just gonna pick one, I think they might be looking at Lambert. But I'm also not sure he would. Yeah, because he's impressed with OG. Like he kind of slid into that role because their Extas just left, and he kind of had to slide into that role from the assistant coach. Wait, actually, sorry, did they ever have Extas? Who am I thinking about? No, Rugga. When Rugga left.
Yeah.
When Rugga left, he just kind of slid into that role from the assistant coach position, and he's just stayed there. And they made the major.
He's been doing a good job with OG. So that'd be a pretty solid pickup.
Yep. All right. Saw have gone back to Portugal, and they've added Krasi and Aragorn.
I mean, I don't really care.
Yeah, you're going back. Like they seem to be mismanaged in talent a bit. Like one person's name I've been heard mentioned is SHR. Didn't really impress on Saw that much, but I've heard some people say that this guy is like, he was touted as one of the big Portuguese talents within Portugal, and they just completely wasted him. So
yeah, it's a weird situation at Saw. I don't think they're going to be climbing back up anytime soon.
Well, yeah, we've said that many times as well about Saw, so let's see what happens. But yeah, anyway, the Huns have cut Yami and their coach, NCL. And here's just a caveat. They didn't say anything about this. My assumption is just that this might have something to do with Yami being investigated by Isak.
Yeah. Surely.
Yeah. Yeah, I made that
I
connection
think so.
instantly. Yeah, NCL could be involved, or maybe that's just coincidental. Let's be honest, we're not going to talk about this. If we mention the Huns a single time during the fall season on this show, I'd
be shocked as well.
Yeah, all right. Finally, Johnny Speeds have cut Shine, seemingly without warning. They played pretty well at one point. I think they were the #1 ranked Swedish team on VRS. Because Medisport, despite making the major, they haven't been able to make it out of like top 50 or make it into the top 50 even. But this Johnny Speeds team has done pretty well for themselves. They peaked at 55 VRS. They've beaten good domestic opposition. They did pretty well at the Nordic Championship event, I would say. But like they can't. For some reason, they've decided. At one point, they were the best Swedish team. They were 56th when Medisport were 59th at the end of May.
Yeah.
But they just can't. I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know why, because they're doing really well. Shine is so smart. Like anytime you hear him speak, you can tell that this guy is a natural born in-game leader, because he's like, and his teams, they look pretty solid. They try some new stuff. I'm not saying it's groundbreaking, but there's a reason why he's taken both Eyeballers and Medisport to big domestic LAN titles, like back to back in the biggest LAN that we have. There's a reason for that. But seemingly, he was surprised by the move. He wrote on Twitter that he was honestly surprised by the benching. So, like, did they not at any point say that, hey, we're unhappy with how you're calling, let's try to change this up? Did they just bench him outright? It feels super weird.
Yeah, strange scenario, but no, I don't particularly get it. Not particularly, but I do think there's great things to aspire to as a roster for Johnny Speeds. I'm not sure if this is a forward step explicitly. Remains to be seen.
Remains to be seen. But yeah, that's all the shuffles so far, and I'm sure every week something happens on the Monday.
Yeah.
Monday afternoon, every Monday afternoon something happens just after
let me just check
stop.
So right now. Let me see.
Yeah, let's just double check. Is there anything being talked about? Perfecto said he was. Perfecto said he was available.
Oh, Donk's been benched. I'm joking. No. Obviously not. But yeah. All right. Shall we wrap the show up with prospects of the week?
Hell yeah.
Again, why is this in a random spot? Anyway, I'm going to lead it off because I've got two. Technically, I've only got one official, but seeing as you're picking an IGL, I can't do demo review of that, or I don't want to, more importantly. So I've picked two players that I want to do demo review of. Firstly, my pick for the week was Junimi, and partially out of curiosity, because I want to see how legit his numbers are, what kind of positions he's been playing. He's been bouncing around, kind of filling in. Played with Copenhagen Wolves briefly, and Energy Ultra in a loss to Gen 1, but whilst putting up great numbers. He's a fascinating AWPer from Denmark. Yeah, I want to check in, see how he's doing. Put up some good numbers, so it's a great excuse to watch him. I think that's pretty much the long and the short of it on Dreamy. I'm not sure how much of him you've watched, but for me, he's been he's been solid. He's been impressive.
I'm aware of him, but yeah, not much beyond that.
Yeah, and then my other pick, Marius, a Kazakh team, have been doing the rounds, as in playing a bunch of games in EU in the last sort of month or so. With a variety of different players, it's been rather strange. They've been like cycling through certain pieces rather rapidly. But one player who's remained a constant fixture and has been really strong for them is Mite, M-I-T-E, or M1-T-E rather. He put up insane numbers during the CCT Europe Season 3, or Series 3 rather, on the way to a quarterfinal loss, or round of 16 loss to NAVI Junior, in which he drops 30 in Map 2, despite a 13-11 loss. Really strong numbers, dominating against teams like Nexus, Fisher College, not insanely high level, but again, this guy, rather young, very unheard of, coming out of Kazakhstan, aka the new Mongolia, as I put it. Yeah, want to watch him play as well. Very interested to see how he's coming along and what kind of player he is.
This is the team that was previously called Delta.
It is, yes.
And they're they're doing the rounds and they're moving up, and these are the guys who played a couple of local LANs that were ranked.
Yeah,
they played
cheesed their way essentially to European invites for these sorts of level of tournaments, but they have beaten like Gun 5. They've done a decent job of beating some opponents. I mean, they've had a lot of losses, and they've been smacked around by some teams, but they have got some decent wins for Tier 3 level CS, which is not worth ignoring, I think, considering this is their first real exposure to this level of play.
Sure, they made playoffs in the last CCT. I missed
that.
But that's good. Yeah. Ruby taken down, Nexus taken down. Oh, they went from 0-2 even. Yikes. Overtime win against Fisher College is maybe not the most impressive thing, but yeah.
Did they forfeit the game or something? Why is that one?
No. They got a in the 0-2 game they played Fisher College and they won 19-17, and that's Fisher College.
They did forfeit map 1. Sorry, the first match they played, they forfeited to Zero Tenacities. That's why they were 0-2, because I couldn't find the first loss. They actually forfeited the first game they played.
Scheduling issue with another event apparently.
Yeah.
Tier 2 stuff. Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I've paid zero attention to this team because I do think they were just a team which randomly showed up in VRS, with VRS invites, and I didn't pay much attention to them because I didn't think they were going to sustain it. But apparently they have. So
yeah, I randomly got into a bit of a streak of watching a good amount of Kazakh CS when I was investigating Wolodoy, his origins, and some of the players he's played with. And so that's why I followed this Delta team a bit. And when they came across and changed to Marius initially, especially when they were still Delta as well, I think they played a couple games and got smashed, but they changed to Marius. I think that's because they got dropped, but they are putting up decent results.
There's a couple of these Kazakhstani teams who kind of bullshit their way into this. This is a small side tangent, but that's kind of how this Novak team came to be, because they basically just picked up a core and then added Neeland and somebody else. Started out with this 1xBet frag season and the IESF World Championship, both of which being ranked LAN events. Then there's also the team we just talked about, but then there's also this Modiami team who came from the same 1xBet frag season 12 and won it with under the Rage banner, and then they just got invites off of that. They just kept on playing CCT stuff. So There's potentially three slight. At that point, it's not even slightly bullshit because at that point we have three Kazakhstani teams in LAN play, local LAN play, who make it into European competition. So that's good. That's good stuff. Good pick. I've gone for an in-game leader. You say you don't want to demo review it. There's one series, like there's one game which you still could demo review because this guy, like I mostly picked him because of his leadership. But there's one game, and that is when Migo Short beat Eyeballers in the elimination game of Svenska CS-ligan. They played two maps, and he was really good in both of them. Especially the first map on Ancient there, he was really solid. Brillo's a great pick, because Brillo is probably the best, I'd say top 2 best free agent in-game leaders at the moment. I'd put him Krias is around, which is the other guy I'm thinking about. But this dude, I've talked to him, I've interacted with him. Every time I do, I'm so impressed by how clever he is and how level-headed he is, because this he's one of the more fraudulent prospects I've picked because he's 23. But for an in-game leader, for a career in-game leader, that's still really good. He was very well respected when he played on Lil Mix. Eventually ended up being leaving there, and he's been around with some Dutch teams, but he played with Poi, on that Lil Mix team. He played with Lumen for a bit, Sebreeze as well, and Dex, who is now on Eyeballers. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he knows how to play CS. And he's actually pretty good. He's actually a pretty good player mechanically as well. The way this Migo Short team have been playing, in domestic play, has been really good. They play everything. It's basically a mixed team of a friend group who just they get together when they want to play something. They play a qualifier, they play whatever. But they can stack up to Alliance and Eyeballers even when it matters, even in VRS ranked events, and that's why Migo Short they're actually on the Valve ranking, I think. So they can actually get invites to some of these events. And it's all Brillo. Brillo is at the center of it. He's always there. He's always the caller. And he's trying to make this into a team which can actually be something. And it's been close. There's been ties here and there, but unfortunately hasn't really worked out. But I'm going to pick him as an IGL prospect. I think it's still fair. It's somebody I would like to see Brillo try his hand at calling for Medisport. I would like to see that. I would like to see them go for a free agent, for a 23-year-old free agent, to try to just give him the reins, see what he can do under somebody like Abdi with some more experienced teammates like Isak and Plopsky, and see what happens there. If they have they're obviously ready to move away from Hampus. And yeah, ideally you'd want to go for a ZTR and LNZ, but they let ZTR go and they missed the chance at LNZ. He opted to go to Heroic instead. Why wouldn't they try something like this instead of going for Shine they've already moved away from? I'm thinking for me it's got to be Krias or Brillo, but I want it to be Brillo because I want them to try something new. And yeah, he's looking for a team. Hope he finds a team. Outside of major play, there hasn't really been too much to talk about this week, especially in terms of prospects world. So I'm using this spot as an advertisement spot for somebody who I think could be good in the future.
Okay. All right. That's the prospects. We'll be streaming tomorrow, obviously, prospect demos as we do every Tuesday. Be sure to tune in. We'll also probably be doing some demo review of some other stuff in the week if I find the time, because I do have, a holiday coming up. I do want to get as much content done and out and available in the week, but also potentially pre-recorded for the next. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. If you are watching the VOD, you made it this far, you're my hero. Remember to like if you enjoyed. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on any of our takes, any of our segments. Sub for more, and remember that members get access to bonus content as well as being the best way to support the channel. So hopefully you become one, and yeah, we'll see you next week.